Now then, how's it all going, boys and girls? I'm Richard Lewis, hosting this edition of Trash Talk, the fourth installment since our glorious return back from the dead. And as it says in the Twitch title, this is where I pretend your opinions matter. Basically, it's a show that's all about you. We have all these shows where we get guests on and everything else, but actually you're the guests of this show. And there's loads to talk about, but I don't know, Sam. This is my producer, in case you're new to the show. Like, seriously, man, you said you watched that Ocelote Last Shadow
thing,
that
Sky stream. And some of the quotes from Ocelote, just to put it in perspective of how he's talking, he said, "The world would be a better place if everyone was like me. Everyone I meet, I make their life better. I'm the best person I've ever met."
I
think that's enough. You don't have to watch the VOD or anything. That's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, it sounds like we need some sort of fucking intervention, maybe. You know, are we at that stage yet? If I'll say this, if you're a friend of Ocelote, or if you're on his team, you know, might be the time to sit him down and explain why saying things like that in public, you know, aren't cool. You know, I know a thing or two about when people need an intervention. Cheers. So, with that in mind, here's what's been going on in esports this week. In League of Legends, we've had the great Korean exodus to China continuing. Turns out the Chinese have lots of money. Who knew? And Koreans, it turns out, like more money for less work. Perhaps that's oversimplifying the topic, but certainly I think a lot of Korean players realize that, you know, they can certainly get paid and big over in China, and it looks like that's set to continue. Seraph is likely to be out of CLG. Sources close to the player and the organization have confirmed that he's going to leave and that he didn't enjoy his time there. Zion Spartan, in the meantime, has been spotted at the CLG house in probably is one of the most predictable moves this off-season. One of the reasons why it's being delayed, allegedly, a Riot have yet to give their ruling regarding the poaching allegations made by Team Dignitas. Maybe that's something you want to talk about. Then we've got the, you know, Street Fighter bullshit that's been going on. Dyrus versus Impaler. Rage was deployed. Saint Vicious acting as a fucking mediator. I've seen it all now, Sam. Saint Vicious is the Kofi Annan of League of Legends. Fuck it, we're done. This game is over. Esports is over. Anyway, Dyrus posted an apology vlog. What do you think about that? Should he have apologized? Is that classic TSM? Whatever. If you've got an opinion, call me. Last Shadow versus Ocelote, we just talked about that. Ocelote has gone into the full grips of foaming Jesus fever and has proclaimed himself to be the son of Christ. Last Shadow just wants his money. Got it off Sky. Sky chirped in with the outstanding amount, paid it in full, and said, if you give it back to me, I'm going to burn it. What do you make of all of that? It's been a real drawn-out drama, in my opinion. And if you want to help an already published and critically acclaimed writer exploit you for money, Kickstarter's done it again, people. I'm sure someone's going to call in about that at some point. What else have we got? StarCraft, WCS Global Finals went on. How did you rate them? There was Carmack's interview with Kim Fan. In a word, Jesus. I have never seen anything quite so cringeworthy. Well, not in a long time anyway. What did you think about that? The free-to-play question did rear its head once again. And, of course, we've got pre-BlizzCon hype. In Hearthstone, it was breakup week. The Team Liquid and Amar's relationship, which looked so promising, like it was going to last forever, they just split up. It's kind of like your grandparents getting a divorce in their 70s. It's like, oh, it's just so sad. Why can't you just wait until you die? And that's all over now. And then Global Offensive, they've gone absolutely ham in Global Offensive. If Lauren leaves NIP, was it a victory for the critics? It's certainly the end of an era. Makalele's in to replace him. Is that a good call? Fnatic win ESWC, a new look team quickly building a legacy. And female CSGO teams clash following a qualifier win, a full-blown punch-up, bottles deployed, all sorts going on. Is that a new esports low? And MLG finally adds CSGO to the ticket, about bloody time too. If you want to talk about any of those things, you know what you have to do. All you got to do is add Cold.Trash Talk on Skype. My lovely producer Sam, who you just heard mumbling about the delusions of Ocelot, he'll take your call, put you through to me, and I'll pretend to listen. So Sam, who've we got first?
Alright, first we have the renowned first caller, Shiraidun, but now he wants to be called as Anticus Coroius. And he wants to... apparently he thinks that's easier to say. And he wants to talk about LS and Ocelot. And also after this call, we have Nick LS to talk about
it. The last shadow himself. Okay, well, let's get... do you know what? Should we do it the other way around? Should we get last shadow first?
Nick said he wants to go second. He needs to do something, I think.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so it's our regular caller. Formerly known as Jihadun, now wants to be called Anticus Ridiculous.
Hello, mate.
How are you doing,
You had
brother?
one job, Sam. It's Anticus Carios. Come on.
What?
It's just as difficult as your normal name.
Yeah, what is that about, dude? What does it mean? What's the significance of it?
Oh, am I giving the origin story now, am I?
Please.
Let's say it's from a novel that I read that's kind of like a metaphor for when I first found out about esports. And basically what he is he thinks, and he's like the greatest swordsman on earth. Like nobody can take him on. He's really skilled. He wipes the floor with everyone, and he's on top of the world. Then some shit gets fucked up. Demons arrive, and he realizes, I guess I'm not actually that good given light of the situation. And he's got to swallow his pride. And that was with me when, you go from being the kid who could beat all his mates at the games, and then you discover the great big wide world out there.
Is this where I say cool story, bro?
Yeah, that is. Well, I didn't want you to ask, did I?
No, that is true. That isn't what you wanted to call in and talk about. You wanted to talk about what we opened the show with, which of course Last Shadow and Ocelot probably is one of the most ridiculously drawn out and protracted dramas I've seen in a long time.
I checked for posterity when your article was first about it. It was September the 8th, and I'm assuming by then that it had been going on for some time, and you'd been doing some research and things.
Yeah,
not just banging it out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean the instance. I mean, I think Nick left it a good couple of months before he even talked to anyone in the press. So this is something that could have been dealt with. It could have been dealt with hush super quick.
Wasn't it to do with? I mean, it was originally over when they played for the chance to get into the LCS. So how long ago was that?
Well, fuck knows. Yeah,
they lost 2-1 to Unicorns of Love. How long ago was that? That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, was that start of August?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
That's when it happened. It was when they lost to Unicorns of Love 2-1.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts then? I mean, this is one of those difficult situations where I guess because it's about two people coming from two very opposite viewpoints, we're going to have to pick a side.
Of course. I mean, right. So there's two things to talk about, and I'll let you decide where we start. So one is the situation we've got here. The facts, side picking, digging through the mudslinging and all that. Mm-hmm. The second side is a discussion which, I mean, it sort of came to my mind during some of the sort of reactions from the community to it. One of the things that was interesting that came up was about what you do and what your position is, what you can do, what you should do, what you must do when you're in the position where you are someone who's done the job in esports and not got paid. So which one do you want to start with?
Dude, just go ham. You know me, I like listening to you, dude. So just go nuts.
Right, let's just start with let's start with out of the situation, and then we can end with the pick in the side, and that's more dramatic, isn't it? So we're going to enter a hypothetical universe here. So we're going into a parallel universe. So we put on our space helmets, woo, off we go. Now, in this parallel universe, Richard, you and I are omnipotent esports gods who know everything. So it's not that different.
That's this universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but in this universe, we're actually allowed to admit it to people.
Oh, cool.
Right, okay, so we know everything. We know across the board, every single tick, bam, slang dunk case. We've read Ocelot's mind. We know everything. Nick's in the right.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been paid. Everything Ocelot has said is a bold-faced lie in this hypothetical situation. Mm-hmm. So the question is, a lot of the... I mean, you read the community reactions to these kind of things, and I mean, there's a lot of uninteresting comments on Reddit. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I think that he's an idiot. But, there's some things. One of the things that particularly struck me was people were saying things like how it was, Last Shadow made a tweet saying, I've got 14 hours of VODs of them. I've got communications of their team. I've got analysis that I did for them on their strengths and weaknesses, and he'll release it to their opponents because he hasn't been paid.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people that rubbed him up the wrong way, not even just people that were on Ocelot's side, people that genuinely believed that he'd been shafted by Ocelot and that he hadn't been paid were saying, they've had a lot of reasons for it, that this was a bad move by him. And even if Ocelot broke his side of the contract, doesn't mean you should break yours. 2, you should be the bigger man. I think that was one of the quotes. Another one is, maybe you want to get back at Ocelot, but you're shafting over his 4 teammates who are completely innocent and ruining their chances to get into the LCS. So, this is a more interesting discussion than just, should Ocelot pay the person he's supposed to pay? Answer, yes. It is a big situation.
Yeah, my take on it is, and I'm sure when Nick comes on the show, he'll expect me to say this anyway. I'm pretty confident. I felt that the decision to go public and sort of offer to provide free coaching to the opponents was it was a clever move in the sense that it got it back to the front page of Reddit and it underlined that Ocelot hadn't paid, and it increased pressure, and ultimately it's led to a resolution where Nick's got his money even if it wasn't from the intended source, and it's made Ocelot look even worse than what he did before. But personally, if I was Nick, I wouldn't have done this. And if Nick had asked for my advice, I'd have advised him not to do it. Purely and simply because I think, I won't use the word unprofessional, but it speaks to a level of trust that when people are going to enter into a coaching agreement with you, you would like to believe that everything that was discussed, coached, talked about would remain private regardless of any extraneous disputes. And I think when you do that, those players, for example, they've got nothing to do with this whatsoever. They are not even pawns in the game. They are spare pieces on the side. They're not involved. And it's going to be their weaknesses, their vulnerabilities, their communication issues that's going to get released into a public arena, and it's the community that's going to be able to use that as ammunition to attack them as individuals. And that's something that I thought Nick would be a bit more sympathetic to, because he's a guy who's had to go through a lot of shit himself, even to the point now where I see people still fictitiously saying that he cheated in Brood War tournaments and all this other nonsense, when in actual fact the reality is far, far different. So that's my take on it.
The reality is that he cheated on ladder when he was 12 to look cool to his mates, and that's been blown into the old 9-year-old esports historian coup, saying, I knew back in StarCraft he was dodgy. Yeah, exactly. The idea that not paying somebody for work rendered is somehow equatable to a 13-year-old kid using map hacks on a ladder match in non-competitive games for no money. The idea that those two things are equatable and that we should... it comes down to that old saying of poisoning the well. What we're doing is we're trying... The Ocelot fans and the detractors from Nick are trying to say nothing he says can be valid. No point he makes can be valid. He is entitled to nothing because of this thing he did way, way back when. His entire personality is based around this one rather meaningless incident. And I'm sick of hearing about it. And Ocelot is chief among them. Ocelot directly made the statements that, in no uncertain terms, I don't have the direct quote, but Ocelot's quote definitely said that, he definitely tried to explain to people that you can't trust Nick de Cesare because he's mentally ill and homosexual.
Yeah. Well, now this is where it gets even more interesting, and I definitely want to get your opinion on this as well before we go out and bring Nick in. That is the attack, the implication of that somehow mental illness and homosexuality go hand in hand.
He said it in the same sentence as well. It's not like it was on his list of slanders. That was to him. That's one homeless and mentally ill. That's almost hyphenated in Ocelot's mind.
He said something along the lines of that.
I said homeless instead of homosexual.
Yeah.
He is homeless at the moment, though, isn't he?
No.
He's getting a flat.
We'll find out.
Okay.
I guess. But he said something along the lines of, he can suck my dick. I think he's mentally ill. He's a homosexual.
Yeah.
So that kind of implies that homosexuality and mental illness go hand in hand, which is a ridiculous thing to say, if obvious reasons. I like to think I wouldn't need to sit here and explain that homosexuality.
We don't need to waste a 2-hour talk show on something so obviously stupid.
Yeah, and he to then turn around and say, "Oh, I'm going to do a stream and I'm going to give 40% of it to lesbian, gay, and bisexual and transsexual charities." That doesn't necessarily absolve you of what you've said, because you're actually, in the same breath, you're denying that you've made homophobic slurs, and then in the next breath you're saying, "But I will atone for those homophobic slurs that I didn't make."
And so, I mean, in briefly touching on the 4 other players that might get screwed out of a match, it's like, I mean, it kind of brings to mind the idea of when someone gets caught like in fraud or embezzling or something, and to try and save their own skin at the last minute, they're like, "Oh yeah, well my wife and kids depend on me. Oh, if I go to jail, they'll be It's like, well, I know they're not. It's not their fault, but we can't allow them to profit from your shadiness.
Yeah,
either.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, I got to say in all of this, right? So here's something. I want to ask you a question here. I consider you an intelligent and rational human being. So here, I made this example earlier on my stream, and I said, right, I see the situation thus, and that is that Ocelote is saying, "I didn't make the agreement verbally, personally. It was a manager who did, but I agreed to nothing, and therefore I refused to pay it. Yet it was a manager who had his proxy, who had made many decisions about the organization itself, who made the deal." So it seems to me you would honor that agreement because it's somebody within your organization. Even if you're pissed off, maybe you get mad and you take it out of their salary. I don't know.
Even if you think they shouldn't have been able to make that decision.
Exactly.
It's like, even if you just
the example I used was earlier. Okay, so let's say you're walking down the street, you're on your way to work, you're wearing your lovely work suit, and a guy's looking flabbergasted and befuddled. He's got a car next to you. It's in clear state of disrepair, and he says to you, "Look, man, I am the high-ranking executive at McDonald's, and my car's fucked, and I got to get to this meeting. If you help me change this tire, I will give you like full free burgers in any McDonald's restaurant the world over for a year." And you go, "Well, I'm going to be late for work. I'll get in trouble, but I fucking love burgers and it seems like a good opportunity." So you do it, and then he drives off into the blue yonder, and then you think, right, well, do you know what? I'm going to celebrate this lunch break, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to get one of my free burgers. So you go in, you show them the authentication you've got from the guy at McDonald's, and they go, "Oh, wait here 1 minute." And then you get the fucking CEO, the overall owner of McDonald's, the big chief, Ronald, I presume. And he is on the phone to you and he goes, "Yeah, that guy wasn't authorized to make that kind of deal. He's only a marketing director. I own the company. Get fucked for your burgers." And you go to the papers and it generates all this negative publicity. That's never going to happen. McDonald's are going to say, "Oh, this kind of sucks, but it ain't worth the bad publicity. It's just free burgers." And they're going to give the burgers away. You're going to get your burgers. And that guy who made that deal that probably shouldn't have done is going to get disciplined
It's more important to keep everyone else happy for your brand.
Yes, exactly. And this is why I don't understand why Ocelote, a man who has been in the public eye and has boasted about how, his sales of Ocelote scarves have made him so much money, is actually gonna give someone the runaround for what is a paltry amount of money. So much so that a streamer has just given it away to him to just kind of keep the peace.
And I mean, it's hard to say.
So I mean, do you think Ocelote should have just like coughed up immediately?
Immediately. I mean, Ocelote, it seems like, the one thing you've got to say to Ocelote is fucking no takebacks. He's like, "Oh, we agreed to coach you, but then the coaching didn't work, so we're not paying you. The manager agreed we'd pay you, but then the manager wasn't allowed to agree we'd pay you, so you're not paying you. Oh, I said that, I'd, burn the bridge and you'd never work in esports again, but I didn't mean it, JK."
Yeah. And that was the other thing as well. Look, here's what I don't understand. Like, if all the people to be angry at, if you didn't want to pay for the coaching and your manager agreed to do it, surely you aim your anger at the manager that has let you down. The person you've given the responsibility to. I don't think Ocelote considers
his manager much of a manager, really. I think
it sounds like that, yeah.
I think his manager is kind of, Ocelot's laying back on the sofa. He's like, "Hey, manager, come over here." So I'm Ocelot. I'm the star. I make all the money. You know, I'm on the TV, sell my scarves. I'm pretty good. So I've just noticed there's no more beers in this fridge, manager. What are you up to? The manager's like, "Oh, well, you know, negotiating contracts, paying the coaches." He's like, "Yeah, well, leave all that shit. I'll sort that out. How about you just head down the off license and manage me a few more beers?"
Yeah, exactly. But he's even said that, I think. I think he said something like...
My Creepo style. My manager's good at doing the washing up, but he's not really for the business.
It wasn't far off that. I think he said, like, as a manager, he only handles, you know, looking after us drinks-wise and blah, 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 and shit like this. Like, as if his manager was basically the fucking water boy. So here's what I would say to that is, why is the water boy even reaching out to a coach in the first place?
Probably because you're calling the water boy a manager and giving him a false expectation of how much power and influence he actually has within your shambles of an industry.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your final thoughts? We'll wrap it up because we're going to bring Nick in.
Final thoughts is, I mean, when all's said and done, I feel really bad for Nick, not just because of the bad situation with the pay and that, but because, I mean, he obviously spent a long time showing his side of the story, going for all these chat logs. I mean, he sent you Twitch VODs. He's got, you know, evidence of Ocelot. And I mean, he spent all this time building a case against Ocelot to show he was in the wrong. And I mean, all he really needed to do was let him open his fucking mouth.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's true,
I mean,
man.
all we had to do was give Ocelot a platform to vomit his stream of consciousness out onto the internet, and everyone can see in about 5 minutes what a mental head case he is.
And this is the other thing as well. So just final points, because I definitely want to bring this up. What did you make of his like weird chatter about spiritual advisors and how he had to spend time meditating on this? Like, again, I think if you're trying to make rational points, throwing in stuff like this, you're bordering on Scientology levels of batshit bananas.
I mean, I think Ocelot is in the position that like could have become Reggie before. Reggie steered away from it. He brought in Locodoco and he took control of the team. But Ocelot has built around him this echo chamber and this cult of personality within his own. He's not really in the public spotlight so much anymore. He's in this little Ocelot world, and the only people that come to watch Ocelot are Ocelot fans, and the only people on the Ocelot team are the Ocelot guys. And he builds this team around it. He kicks off anyone who disagrees with him, and just, I mean, he's just constantly reinforced all the time, and he's just gone off the fucking plot, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there. I hate to cut you short, but Nick's been waiting to come on.
No problem at all. Like, I mean,
all day.
you know, I can't say I know more about this than he does. So
Yeah,
yes, I mean, very interested to hear his take.
Yeah, good, man. And thanks for calling in. It's always great to get you on every week. You're a great caller, and thanks for supporting the stream and indeed the content. Loving the new name, but hopefully you'll have a nice, easy one to pronounce next week, brother.
All right, I'll see you later.
All the best. Take care. So as you heard there, we've got one caller's take on the whole Last Shadow and fucking Ocelot debacle. But what we're going to do now is we're going to bring the man himself in, and that's going to be Last Shadow, who is going to tell us his take on it all. He's been on Sky's stream today talking to Ocelot. He's actually managed to get his money from Sky and not from Ocelot. So Nick, I guess I got to ask you if you're here. Hang on. Yeah, we're just recalling through. I thought I was going to do a perfectly smooth transition there, Sam. I thought that was going to be brilliant.
Can you hear me?
Never.
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. How you doing? So
okay.
as I was saying,
fucking out. Okay.
no, don't worry, dude. So as I was saying, I was going to ask you if you were kind of happy with the way the resolution went and all the recent drama and how that's affected you.
I'm like I was just before I came on the show, I was just talking to Sky again. Like, I'm really like I don't know how to feel about how it ended. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like in the end, everyone, I would say that it was like 95% in my favor, and the 5% is like the blind Ocelot fans. Do you know what I mean? Or like the StarCraft 2 people that hate me. I can't say I can't say I feel like genuinely good to have the money because it comes from Sky, and he's someone that's really fucking helped me out a lot. You know, like not just in this, like going back months, like with my depression. Yeah, he is, and you know, I want to be able to pay him back somehow someday, and he doesn't want the money, so you know, so it's really weird. But
money means nothing to Greg. Anyone who knows Greg knows, like dollars and cents don't mean fuck all to him. But look, let's rewind a little bit. I mean, I am still amazed that after you made your offer for free coaching to opposition teams, which I don't know if you heard. I actually, if you'd asked me before you'd done that, I'd have said don't do that.
I know. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go on. Give me your thoughts in hindsight.
No, in hindsight, I don't know if that was the proper way to do it. I realized that sometimes I'm still growing up and I'm still learning and shit. And I realized that, I do have my mental issues, as Ocelot calls them, where I struggle with dysthymia and I struggle with anxiety and shit. And sometimes I can act like irrational because I'm under so much pressure. I'm going through turbulence. And this was kind of like my last stand. And the reason that I came out with it was because there were lies getting back to me from people inside the EU scene that Ocelot was like behind closed doors slandering my coaching and like telling lies. And he was telling people that he paid me. And it's like, no, you're not gonna. I don't know. It kind of felt like my last stand. Like, again, to say that, but
yeah, I don't even understand why he didn't just pay you. Like, I will never understand this to this day. And I gotta be honest, man. I watched that video today, and look, a lot of people sometimes say you're crazy, but that his video came across as if he is in the grips of madness almost.
His YouTube video, right? We're talking about his YouTube. Yeah, that was really fucking bizarre. That was really bizarre. Not only does he indirectly insult me numerous times throughout that without actually mentioning my name, he then like admits that he did wrong, because why are you going to raise a fundraiser stream to donate to the lesbian, gay, bi, transgender community and the mental illness if you're not in the wrong?
Yep.
Why are you gonna? Right. Why are you gonna make your fans pay me with your goddamn charity money? Like, why can't you just be an honest? I don't know. It's delusion. That's actually all that it is.
Yeah.
It's delusional.
But I mean, the other problem as well that I noticed was he talked about how he didn't agree anything personally and blah blah blah. And of course, as we both know, because I've verified all the content, he did actually approve the expenditure. But not only that, though, I mean, let's say what he says is true, and let's humor him. Multiple occasions, the manager that represents his organization did agree that they would pay you for the coaching and agreed to your fee, which was there in black and white. So what happens now to that manager? Because if Ocelot's pissed off at you, surely he's got to be more pissed off at him.
Well, haven't you heard, Richard? I'm a retard, and nothing I said was true. So the manager is innocent.
Silly me.
Silly.
Having read all of the Skype logs and having seen the videos and everything else. But I mean, seriously, like this suggests that if they're going to keep that working model in practice, where this manager, in inverted commas, goes out and, approaches people like yourself to assist their team, and then Ocelot turns around and says, plausible deniability, I never approached them, I never did this. Would you say more people are going to get potentially fleeced? I mean, would you advise other people to avoid working with the Game as 2 organization based on your experience?
I don't think a lot of people, I guess I want to answer this twice, sort of, in a way. Yeah, I don't think people are going to go near him, but at the same time, I was having a conversation with someone that's inside of that organization, and I basically said, I don't get why the other 4 players do not pick up and abandon ship, because it's really obvious, not only on a toxicity level and a PR level, he's Diamond 1 40 LP on EU West with duo queues with high challenger players. Okay? I'm not trying to take a pot shot at his skill level or something, but there's more than enough incentive that goes way beyond just the PR and the damage and toxicity that's coming on at this point. And I have no problem saying that. Yeah. But then the other thing is, a lot of people are saying that I'm not going to get work or I'm somehow going to be affected. I don't think that's the case. If a company cannot say, well, I don't have to worry about this because I'm not going to scam him, I'm not going to lie to him, I'm not going to insult his sexuality and his financial situation, family, mental illness, etc., then I don't want to work with them anyway. There's never been anything about SHC. There's never been anything about other Challenger teams that I've worked with. Nothing has ever come out. In fact, when I was approached, when I wasn't working with SHC and teams wanted info on them, I refused to give it. That's public knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. So my other question to you would be just kind of how, how you're left kind of feeling after the things that have been said and put in the public domain, because, you've talked about how you feel like you've been slandered and that maybe Ocelote has kind of smeared your reputation a little bit. But equally, we've just talked there that, maybe it won't affect people coming to you as a coach. Which one do you think is kind of the most likely outcome? Do you think that there's people out there right now who are thinking, I'd love to get that last Shadow in as a coach, I'd value his feedback, but I don't think it's going to be worth it because of the drama? Or do you think actually it's raised your profile enough that there'll be more opportunities for you?
I don't know, Richard. I have 6 offers today alone, and I have NALCS teams asking me to message Riot to find out if I can work in opposing regions. So I think
Cool.
I'm fine.
Yeah, that
like,
sounds really positive, dude.
My coaching speaks for itself, and Ocelote tried to say that SHC players said I was bad, and then Rawless and Selfie came out insta-denying that and shooting it down, saying I was the best coach they'd ever had. And Paler's come out, other players have come out, Incarnation, obviously he's a very controversial figure right now, talking about my coaching and everything, and nothing has ever actually been bad. If I was bad, SHC wouldn't have rehired me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people who've worked with you definitely publicly will state, to your, efficient manner of coaching and to the results that they've got from it. But more often than not, a lot of this has been kind of clandestine. I think one of the reasons this actually happened is that because you're, just a coach for hire, in inverted commas, Ocelote probably thought it was never going to see the light of day if you didn't get paid, that nobody would really care about it. So it's kind
Absolutely.
kind of a testament to, your presence. So here's another thing I just wanted to ask you about. We had it described as an echo chamber of stupidity for Ocelote, that he does live in his own world. And we opened the show by quoting some of the things he said on that stream with Sky, where he said, if more people were like me, the world would be a better place, and this kind of stuff. Do you think that people at the organization are actually kind of a little bit tired of him, but they're staying there because, there is that tentative chance of getting into LCS?
I don't honestly know. I cannot. If sponsors were gonna drop Greg Idra Fields for his comments, you know what I mean, years ago in StarCraft 2, and then you had the witch hunts against other StarCraft 2 players, I don't see how sponsors will keep him. On top of that, actually going back to the whole manager thing that you were talking about with the previous caller, his manager, the manager's father is the entire funder of Gamers 2.
Yeah.
So that's where that, you know what I mean? Like can't.
He's probably safe, isn't he?
Right, exactly. He's like his sugar boy or something, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. So what did you make of Koo's comments? I'll read them just for people who maybe didn't see them. He said, the Reddit circle jerk is pretty disgusting, especially when you don't even know the story. Ocelote is a great person, and there's nothing against homosexuals / mental illness. I mean, again, not homosexuals or mental illness. Homosexuals / mental illness, as if you're all, one homogenous group. And will never go against his motto, which is if he agreed to paying Nick, then he would pay him. However, Ocelote never agreed to pay him, especially when you have to pay $500 right off the bat for testing him. Nick is shady as hell. He got caught cheating twice and was infamous as hell. If people knew about his StarCraft career, then you all know how shady he can be. Regarding the Scrims VODs comms he has, I sincerely hope he will post it because it holds zero information about the current G2 and doesn't mean anything to us. And then he goes on to say how Ocelote is basically a great mentor. So, I mean, first of all,
I don't want me to smash this.
Yeah, just go in. But I mean, I want you to talk about the whole thing about being caught cheating twice and was infamous as hell, because a lot of people seem to think you cheated in tournaments for money, and I know that isn't true because I'm old.
No, okay. All right. So let me address Ku, however you pronounce his ID.
I say Ku. I always thought it was Ku, but if it's a
Okay.
Ho, I apologize.
One of the first things I said to him is, I think I tweeted, I don't know if I deleted the tweet, is I said, you were 8 years old when I cheated. Okay? Or he was 9.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you bringing this up? My only interactions with Ku on Skype were positive. Never said anything negative of him, never said anything bad. I just offered to help him with jungle because at that point I thought I was still working with Gamers 2 and he was supposed to be brought on. Okay? There's nothing shady because I'm an open book. You can find out everything about me. All my social medias are open. My Twitter, my Facebook, absolutely everything is actually transparent. There's nothing really that I like fucking hide. Okay? And the cheating in StarCraft 2, I cheated many years ago, okay, when I was like borderline teenager, because something, I talked about this in the reflections with Thorin. Sky has advised me not to say explicitly what it was, but you know what it was, I told you. Something really fucking bad happened to me, and I lost everything in my real life, a tangible fucking world. And the only thing I had left was the Team Liquid community. And I was kind of good at StarCraft 1, but I wasn't like something special. But like this community was kind of small and compact, and I thought like, if I could be someone here, that would make me feel good and it would give me meaning or something. Because I was dealing with a ton of shit with like depression. I've been dealing with that we're going on, 10, 11 years or whatever. And so I cheated. And my philosophy was that I would cheat in custom games, not competitively. And I would use them sometimes, and then I wouldn't use them. I'd use them sometimes, I wouldn't use them.
Yeah.
And my goal was to get good eventually, win over, the respect of these top foreigners that I couldn't quite beat, but I was kind of okay, and then just be friends with them. Like I was young and naive. I was not thinking StarCraft 2 is going to come out in 2010. We didn't even fucking think a StarCraft 2 was going to come out. I didn't know Riot Games would invent League of Legends. I'm not thinking about my fucking future. I'm thinking about, hey, let me not want to fucking kill myself. Like this game makes me happy. This community is nice. It's compact. And like, so I'm only thinking like, I was thinking tunnel visioned, naive, impulsive, stupid, and probably unstable due to all the shit going on in my life, And throughout all those years, a lot of the shit, like I said this to Sky, I cannot look at a child that young, 13, 14, 15, 16. I cannot look at it and take anything serious. Even if they like do burglaries and arson or like something like, well, arson's actually pretty fucked up, but you know what I mean. Like, if they do, like, pretty juvenile stuff, delinquent, you know what I mean? Delinquency, I hope they get better. I don't fucking wish ill on them and call them a fucking piece of shit and, like, burn him at the fucking stake and exile him and tell him that he has all these fucked up personality disorders and shit when he's, like, 14, 15, like they're fucking, teamliquid.net shrinks or something. That was really messed up. And it hurt me a lot. I'm a fucking human being. I have feelings. I used to fucking cry over some of that shit. And
but why do you think it still gets brought up now, though? It's so fucking long ago, and it wasn't even a big deal.
I think there's a mix. One, I was pretty bad manner because of all of this. Because I lashed out poorly. I couldn't control my emotions that great. I say this to this day. I'm still growing up. I came to Korea 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what kid goes to a foreign country by themselves with a few, $100 in their pocket, no family support, etc., and then makes a life for themselves. Like, fucking damn anyone that tries to say otherwise about, like, the shit I've gone through, Like, it's really fucking, it's pathetic and it's bullshit when, like, these middle-aged 20-year-old guys were being so condescending, negative, and hateful. It wasn't even dislike. It was actually raw hate, and it bothered me. And that probably affected me growing up. Like, legitimately, it probably affected me. And I did some stupid shit thinking, some stuff was funny, like copy-pasting 4chan posts, and that shit fucking gets brought up to this day and stuff. But anyways, a year after I got caught cheating, this is the second event that Ko talks about.
Yeah.
There was a WCG qualifier. Okay, now it wasn't for money, but in Team Liquid, they had this principle where if you did well offline, you redeemed yourself as a cheater. That was it. They had this with numerous other cheaters. Testy, Trek, not Yosh. I don't want to say Yosh, but there was a few other, cheaters and stuff. There was a Protoss player from Germany. I don't remember his name. But I was hellbent. I made it to the finals against a Terran player named Nesh, and I had a friend named Kawhi Rice go on Ventrilo, what is now like TeamSpeak Skype, and he would tell me the build orders of the opponent for 3 out of the 5 games, I think, or something. And yeah, it's pretty fucking dirty. You know, going back, I would hate myself. You know, it was wrong, whatever. But I was so tunnel visioned on, you know, I care so much about what this community thinks because they're all that I had, kind of. You know, and I just wanted to get to offline because then I could, you know, prove myself, etc. It was stupid. It was like fucking naive. I met that same player that I cheated against, Nesh, at an MLG a few years later. We're completely fine. Also, the main people that I cheated against initially are Artosis, Tasteless, LZ Gamer, Machine, you know, all these US names, Nyokin, etc. They're now my closest friends in real life. Like, I stay at Artosis's house sometimes. You know, he's put me up. You know, last year when I was dealing with my lung disease and stuff, I stayed at this house for weeks. You know, Tasteless has let me stay at his house for like numerous times. They don't care. You know, and they've come out on public forums and said it's fucking pathetic, anyone that actually cares. These are people I cheated against. You know, like, I don't know. I think it's fucking stupid. And for this 17-year-old to come out of here half-cocked, obviously Ocelot's holding a fucking gun to his head. If he's not, it speaks even more to Ko's, like, bad manner character or something. I've done nothing wrong to Ko, you know, in terms of aggression or bad manner or anything. I've actually only said good stuff about him until today because of, obviously, this.
So, which brings me to the final point, Nick, and that is, you know, I asked you about whether you felt that people in the organization were actually a little bit kind of like, it's happening again. Like, you know, wherever Ocelot is, there's going to be this, you know, there's always that potential for drama. And, you know, do you think there's people in the organization that are maybe just like, they just rather it was about the games and things like this didn't continually happen, that there hadn't been this like 3 or 4 month drama dragged out over what is a matter of an organization not paying a coach?
Can you like repeat that? I'm so sorry.
It's all right, don't worry. So I'm just saying, you know, do you think there's people in the organization that would rather Ocelot kind of, well, you know, if they had the balls or if they had nothing to lose by saying it, they'd take Ocelot to one side and say, this shit's got to stop?
I would assume that would have happened, yeah. I'm actually shocked it didn't. But what's even more, like, disturbing is his delusion. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a 3-hour video that it goes over everything in plain fucking text. Do you know what I mean? You saw it. Tons of people have seen it. I think the video has like 30,000 views on my Twitch or something. You can't ignore that. That's like, you know, there's a fucking knife with blood on it and it has your fingerprints. No one else was in the room and you're like, no, it's not my fingerprints. You know, like, I don't know. What did you make of, just before you go, one last thing. What did you make of what he said in his video about riots? Like, he went to Riot for advice and they said, just ignore it. That bothered me. I reached out. I've already reached out to Riot because I'm like, that doesn't seem normal. Like, Riot's condoning, like, homosexuality bashing and mental illness bashing, and, like, you're gonna ban XJ9 over these things, you know? Well, XJ9 obviously to a much more severe topic, but the fact is you ban players for these things all the time. You don't tolerate this. This is a figurehead for this game, and you're just gonna tell him to ignore it? Like, I didn't buy that. You know, so I reached out to Riot again because that doesn't look right. I think he's just saying that. To be completely honest, I think he's just saying that. Yeah,
it didn't sit easy with me because I thought, first of all, if I was Riot, the first thing I would say is, look, how you run your organization is actually none of our concern. We're not in a position to give you any advice, and we're certainly not in a position to tell you how to handle a potential PR storm. But equally, the idea that they said just ignore very valid issues, which was A, you not being paid for work that you've done, and B, homophobic slurs and slurs against mental illness. It's like you say, that doesn't sound like something Riot would do to me. Like, I get a lot of stick for hating on Riot, but I can't believe that they advised Ocelot. The best thing to do is just ignore this guy. He'll go away, and everything you said was fine. I can't believe that at all.
I don't believe it either.
Yeah. So sorry, I cut you off. You were going to make a final point, brother.
No, the other thing that you mentioned was that the 4 other players that get dragged through the mud, right? You were talking about that in the previous call. And I think that sucks for them. I think that sucks for them, actually. I do. I was actually like I was beside myself for a few days. I can even show you chat logs with their newest support player, who I assume will be announced in coming days. And I was speaking with him, and I'm like, I don't know what to do because there is 3 other players plus you. Well, at that time he wasn't certain going, but there would be 3 other players plus him going to the team, and it's like, do I really hurt these players because of this one person? And then I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, one person actually defended him in the face of everything, and tried to slander me or, defame me. And then why didn't any of them just actually step up? You know what I mean? You see that happen all the times in teams. If one teammate is actually being a fucking idiot, the other 4, the other 3, the majority, they step up and be like, hey, listen, man, like, this isn't okay.
But usually they'll do that against a teammate that doesn't control the sponsorship effectively, which
Right.
a lot for good or ill, he does. I mean, the relationship he's got with the manager and therefore the manager's father, that's pretty much the
Right.
key to the sponsorships. If you go against those guys, you're going to be off the team.
Right.
So that's
So
why I don't think you can necessarily hold it against the players. I mean, I got to be honest. If someone held the keys to my livelihood, and I was in a very precarious stage of my career, i.e., going into a tournament that could really define it. If we qualify for LCS, I've got a golden ticket. If I don't, I've wasted 6 months of my life or whatever. I probably wouldn't say anything either, to be honest.
Well, why not just? Can I just? Why not just take the 4 teammates? Okay, and Ocelot, he technically is the owner of the team, but the funding comes from the manager and the owner. Why not either just kick Ocelot, or you take the 4 teammates, you get another mid player that is way more qualified in terms of mechanical skill and solo queue ability. I'm sorry, but come on, like, what the fuck? And you take Brokenshard or something, and you go through the expansion.
Yeah.
I don't.
I know what you're saying, dude. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's realistic. I know that players will look after themselves more often than not, and I don't blame them for that.
I know.
I got to be honest. So just some wrap up points. I mean, look, you've had all these offers. You've got the money from Sky. I think all told, you've kind of definitely come out of this the winner in inverted commas. Are you gonna hold to your offer about giving advice about how to beat gamers 2 to their opponents, or is that off the table now?
No, I feel really bad. Like I said, in hindsight, like, some of the shit's really fucking childish, and I realized some of the stuff that I said and everything, it's out of impulse and it's out of, like, stupidity. At the end of the day, it actually is. It's out of fucking stupidity. Me and Ocelot both acted like idiots in a lot of respects. There is stuff I could have done better from the very beginning. I'll never not request a contract up front now. You know what I mean? Like, because of this. And I learned a lot. I acted poorly a lot on some things, and I don't know. Like, I don't want people to hunt the other G2 members. Like, I was seeing that on Reddit. That's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that fucking happen or whatever. And I got the money, so even though I don't like the way that I obtained it, do you know what I mean? I like I said to Sky, it's not his burden. This isn't his price to pay, I feel really wrong. And then the fact that Ocelot tries to say to Sky, well, I'm literally, basically, he's like fucking the second coming. I don't know if you listen to him at all, but
yeah, no,
shit. He is the living proof for fucking creationism versus atheism. Like, no, I don't know. Like, holy shit, Ken Ham has nothing on him, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how to feel about it. That's actually my honest opinion. I don't feel like this is a right ending, but it's what it is. I'll still coach teams if they ask me for coaching, but I'm not going to go, stake to the heart type style. Like, I'm still going to have my analysis of the team, but I'm not going to plug all these, films or whatever to the public.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, look, man, I'll say this. Now that I'm on my own talk show and don't need to be objective in any way, shape, or form. I've met Ocelot a bunch of times. He's always been super nice to me. But what I always realized was, while he was being super nice to me, there wasn't many people who had nice things to say about him behind the scenes. And I think either that's a shame if they're lying. But this kind of whole experience left a bad taste in my mouth because, as you know, one of the things I'm passionate about is helping people in esports get what they're legitimately owed. I think the business can only grow and develop if there is this honesty and integrity in place when it comes to the financial transactions. So I'm glad you haven't been too harmed by this. I agree with your assessment that you probably could have done things a little bit differently. That's just speaking friend to friend. But
I agree.
But the main thing is, dude, that I'm happy that you're not going to be out of pocket and you're going to be able to move on to the next phase of your life a little bit wiser. And as you say, probably is a little bit better off as well in terms of, people actually wanting to come to you and work with you. So I hope it all works out for you. And I'm super happy that you came on the show tonight, man.
Okay, thanks so much for having me, Richard.
No worries, Nick. No worries.
All
I'll
right.
talk to you again, brother. Look after yourself, all right?
You too. Bye. Thanks.
Take care. Bye. So there we go. That was from the horse's mouth. That was Last Shadow, who came on to give his take on the whole Ocelot debacle. Sam, at one point we didn't bring up, actually, was that Ocelot referred to Reddit as a cancer.
Yeah. He just is so, I remember when he's talking to Sky, he was saying how sorry he was for using the word retard. And he said, after I said that word, I was so upset myself, I realized how much of a stupid blabbering retard I was. And that's just the epitome of what his argument was. It was so ridiculous just listening to him talk.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, why would anyone apologize for using the word retard? I mean, I'm not even necessarily saying that Reddit isn't a cancer, by the way. But here's the thing. I'm fairly resolute in my opinions. I don't know if you've noticed that. I'm fairly robust. I say what I think, and I argue with people on Reddit all the time. People say, that guy's an asshole because when people say things about him that aren't true on Reddit, he argues, and he should just let it go. So, but I would never say Reddit's, the cancer, so to speak. It pisses me off at times. It fucking gets me down at times. I think the Reddit staff and the way it's run and the way that content creators get treated, I think that's cancerous. But I don't think the community necessarily is itself inherently cancerous. And Ocelot is a player who, let's be honest, he cruised by on popularity and presence for a long, long period of time when his skills weren't that relevant. And I would have thought the last thing he would have done is turn on the popularist community that actually enabled him to have a career.
Yeah. Basically, what you should have done is, if you were an owner of a company and one of your employees makes a mistake, say if I completely shied with Ocelot, say if I completely believe he didn't have a clue that they were paying for him, even then, if he goes, oh, I said I'd pay him this much, well, you go, well, for fuck's sake, I have to pay him and I'll take it out on you. It's not the person you employed for, it's not the coach you employed's fault, it's the person who entitled them to that money you should be taking it out on.
Yeah, I agree with you. People are telling me in the chat that apparently Brokenshard wants to come on.
Yeah, he hasn't added me, so...
Okay, well, if he does, he knows what to do. It's the same as anyone else. You add call.trashtalk on Skype. I certainly want to take your opinions and not make it a celebrity love-in, but this has been a big bit of drama that's dominated the skyline. I'm pretty sure we can save it for tomorrow's First Blood, though. But it's up to Ram. Ram's always welcome. Everyone's welcome. I think we got time for one more call before we cut to a well-needed break. I'm 3 beers in, and I definitely need a piss. So, Sam, what have we got and what's it about?
Alright, we have Mark Miner to talk about the hero of esports journalism, Harold Goldberg, who is going to save us from the pits of esports with his great stretch goals.
Just give me a minute, man. Let me just... Oh, God, it's happening. Do
you know it only costs $2,000 to have a dinner with him?
Well, I'm actually charging Mark here I'm charging him now to have this 10 minutes on Skype. It's $200. I hope he realizes he's paying it. Mark, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? What a great voice. And what a great microphone.
I took. Remember when you were on? I think it was Unfiltered, and you bitched the shit out of Avilo for his microphone, and then you were very kind about him getting a good one.
Well, I bought him one. I was
You
as
bought
kind
him
as it
one,
got.
rather?
Yeah. Yeah.
I took your advice. I went out. I bought a $50 condenser mic. I bought a $10 pop filter and a desktop stand. For $70, I have clear audio, and people can actually understand what the fuck I say.
Hey, and you sound great, man. I mean, the voice is 50% of it, I would say at least.
That's
I'm actually hitting on you on air. This is it could get awkward, but
well.
so
You haven't returned my calls or my tweets, though. Come on, man.
I'll start now that I've heard you. So let's talk about this fucking dude. Do you want to know what's super awkward? Like, do you want to know what's really super awkward? This is hilarious. So I get a call from my agent, and he says, "Dude, you're never gonna guess who I'm having lunch with." And I'm like, "I don't know." And he goes, "Harold Goldberg."
Oh God.
And I'm like, "Oh shit." And he says, "Yeah, I'm dropping your name in there." And this is like literally like 45 minutes after I've just said on Twitter that Harold Goldberg's Kickstarter is fucking disgusting. And I'm like, just stole the meeting. Don't mention me. Don't let him look at my Twitter. Just just get me paid, whatever, right? And then put the phone down. So I guess I mean, you're not being sarcastic to Sam. You obviously feel the same way I do, that the Kickstarter is grotesque.
Well, I think first I checked out his site. First off, it really confuses the shit out of me that he is set for his journalism and stuff, and he has a fucking Weebly site. He couldn't pay someone $100 to make their own website and host it. But on his site, he's very well published. He's everything, and he doesn't mention in the entire damn thing about once licensing anything from Riot here.
Yeah.
And this entire thing, first off.
That's interesting.
So
that is interesting.
So, like, let's say he only gets 10 grand out of this. This thing's 5. 10 grand is a story. Is 10 grand going to cover what Riot wants off the profit he's going to make from selling this shit? Like, I don't know. If I was Riot, I'd be like, hells no. This is something we want to reserve for ourselves. If we ever choose to make a story, why are we going to license you to make something that could potentially be shit that you're giving away at first to your Kickstarter people? Right?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I mean, obviously, he's talking about making an interactive comic book, effectively, right? He says he wants it to be an experience. So, I mean, that sounds almost like some sort of interactive multimedia compendium. Now, I'm pretty sure if anything like that was going to get made, Riot would want to be the guys that made it, right?
Yeah, like I'll push this out there right now. I'm a huge Riot fanboy, but let's be honest here. Riot fanboy or not, you know that Riot likes to pretend they have this giant dick and they like to slap it in their face. Hey, look what we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been on the receiving end of that dick slapping, so I know.
Yeah. But, like, and I don't mean to go back to the land of broken promises here, but, like, is this just going to end up the same thing? Like...
Well, look, I mean, my fundamental problem with it isn't even, right, like, this is I'll say this on camera. Harold Goldberg is an immensely respected, published writer, okay? I have seen his work. I know he's got a published book about video games. I won't pretend I've read it. But this is a guy who obviously is an established writer. He's very talented. I personally look at his writing, and I'm sure it will mean absolutely nothing to him, and why would it, after all? But I find him to be a fine writer, I would even go so far as to say. But the issue isn't... I agree. $5,000 to write a piece, double the size of the story with all new content, that's kind of worth... So by extension, triple the size is worth. But it's like when it gets into these realms of, like, I will add a long, intricate chapter about cosplayers if you get to 28. If I make it to $28,000, I'll add a long chapter about you, the League of Legends fans, at $24,000. Now, this sounds to me that this is like he's reaching out to people and in the community and saying, give me your money if you are into X, and I will write this elaborate fan fiction that maybe incorporates you, that maybe ticks your boxes. And I think that's really fucking cynical. I think it's disgusting. The fact that the stretch goals go as fucking far as $108,000. $108,000 to add a chapter about fan-created concept characters and coverage of LOL esports, and yeah, it's like, right, how about this for an idea? Okay, Goldberg. How about this for an idea? If you have been bitten by the esports bug, if you've been bitten by the League of Legends bug so much, you're a published writer, you've got a fucking job, you've got a book, you've got royalty checks coming in. How about you create this thing and fucking sell it? How about that, rather than take money up front? Because Kickstarter, as I always understood it, was there for people who maybe didn't have the resources to get great ideas off the ground. This guy is talking about doing what he already does in his motherfucking day job, right? And is already paid to do and is already successful in, to do it a bit more, but just about esports. And
well, let's be honest here. Like,
sorry,
let's look where he's published. Like, I don't want to play devil's advocate here because I'm definitely not on his side on this, but like, maybe it's something that is a little too undiscovered by main media that they won't let him go on this, let him spend this much money on it, right? Like, there is that aspect.
Okay, so maybe there is that aspect, but I also would counter that by saying at the end of the day, this guy's he's gonna have money in the fucking bank. Like, the way he's making it sound is that, oh, here I am, a mainstream writer who has a kind of tangential love of video games because I wrote a book about it. I wrote a League of Legends story. I got exposed to League of Legends, and now I love it so fucking much. I love it so much that I am willing to make this awesome piece of content for you, the fans, the teams, the scene, the community that has so touched my heart. But by the way, if you want it to be as good as it can be, that's $108,000, please.
Well, now you have to also mention, what if this is just him trying to dip his toes and see where he can get money out of this? What if this doesn't work out? He goes to StarCraft and he realizes that StarCraft is pretty dried up after the whole Sons of StarCraft and all. Dude, all those wonderful things.
This is not a stupid man. This is not a stupid man. They wrote the article about League of Legends because everyone knows League of Legends is jumping off. It's a rainmaker. You know, loads of print media have been writing about League of Legends right now, dipping their toes in the water because they know they're going to get the numbers, and print media is dying on its ass. Even long-standing literary, heavyweights like Playboy, magazine. Playboy have been hovering around esports for a long, long time. You ask anyone who was at the Championship Gaming Series who went to the Playboy Mansion. So what he's doing here is, though, he's wrote that article. It's been successful. They've seen a massive spike in traffic, and he's thought, well, holy fucking shit, I can do this one thing, this one gig that'll take up, actually, realistically, not a lot of my time. Not for the amount of money that's going to get paid, and it's got the potential to make serious bank. And he's almost hit the $5,000 goal right now, because people in League of Legends and this demographic, we know what the demographic is. You're talking middle class or higher, white families with disposable income, and they just say, like, take my fucking money, please. Well, take my money for your vague promises.
Well, wait, can I get in on this? Because
yeah, go for it.
I've been in the League community for like a shit ton of years, and I've been a Reddit hound because I'll be honest, I'm not good enough to go anywhere else. But every single year, the same damn question gets asked on the stupid thing, and it's on stupid Reddit, and it's how old are you? Every single year, it's about 17 to 21. It's about the average age group of everyone there. And like, I know when I was 17, that wasn't too long ago. I was stupid as shit. I invested in a Kickstarter for a little pen. Those little bamboo pads, basically skip the pad on it.
Yeah.
And that's been 3 years out. He's still trying to get it processed, and it's been 3 years. I've given up on it. But that was $150 I spent when I was 17 or whatever.
Yeah.
When I was 18.
But I've been there. I've been the same. Like, spending that kind of money on things that you think are cool because, actually you're not an adult yet, all due respect. Like, for me, an adult is a guy who really needs to think about the fucking dollars and cents, grind out a living, have a job, responsibilities, Like, I think when you're a little bit younger, there's so many safety nets around you that maybe you're not even conscious of, in that middle class bracket, that, if you fuck up, it's okay. There's a safety net there. Parents will bail you out. Family will bail you out. Girlfriend will bail you out. Someone's there to catch you. You don't slip through the cracks. And that's why we can afford to give money to dudes like this. And they fucking know that. And they fucking exploit that.
Yeah, but this is also the same demographic that doesn't know how to deal with that. Like,
Mm.
Do you remember the first time when you were young, going to your first apartment, going to your first tent or first like landlord to get something fixed? How like nerve-wracking that was?
Yeah, fuck me. Yeah, you're right, dude.
Yeah. So like imagine these guys. Let's say he misses a deadline. I know he says there's not much of a risk of that because he rarely risks his deadlines, but let's say $200 is a Skype chat with him for an hour. Let's say that gets delayed a bit because that's October 2015, which is I'll give him credit. That's a pretty far time away. But like let's say he skips on that. This is
Yep.
going to be the demographic that doesn't know how to get this back, and they're just going to sit back on Reddit and shun the shit out of this whole thing.
Mm.
And let's say on the like minimal thing that this is going to be a wonderful thing for a league, those people being denied that are going to make this the negative thing. Like happens on the league Reddit all the fucking time. Is someone who does something good, but just there's one negative aspect. Only the negative aspect will get focused on, and all the good about it will never get shun on. Right?
I just wish people would realize, Mark, that actually, you right. League doesn't need this guy to do this in order to have like made its cultural mark. It already has. The only reason these people like HBO and Playboy and all these other, and is it was it the New York Times, Forbes? The only reason these people give a fuck is because it's popular, is because it's tapping into the zeitgeist, and it actually makes them fucking money to write about it. It exposes their product to a new demographic. It shows they're relevant, current. People who wouldn't ordinarily purchase their magazine or newspaper will do so this time around purely because they're writing about League of Legends. And we've seen this trend. The idea that the community needs to go out and throw money at this guy, because if we don't, we're going to miss out on this awesome opportunity, is so fucking ridiculous. And that's before I even get started on the fact that this guy is here to fucking day, gone to fucking morrow. And, we're never going to see or hear from him again in the League of Legends community. It is the fucking financial equivalent of a ram raid. He's driving a car into your shop, he's taking all your produce, and he's fucking off. And it's really, really sad to me when we've got so many actual talented people. I know esports journalists that have left esports and gone to write about mainstream things that could do just as good a job, if not fucking better. And I know they wouldn't have the fucking, they wouldn't have the lack of that fucking lack of shame to ask for this sort of money for this sort of project.
And I think that's what it goes back to. Is like it goes back. He's just trying to put his toes in. He's going to see where people would tell or push money, but this is the wrong way to do it. Like, let's look at how OnGamers does it, and that's probably was the right way. And unfortunately, the whole vote manipulation shit just got in the way of like actually good content. People will eat good content if it's good content.
Yep.
Like I believe all the OnGamers videos had embedded ads into the videos, so you can't skip ads. And you know what? I don't think I even ever bothered to try to care because I knew all the shit I was watching was worth it. And here's the thing: if you want to put out this thing, if it's worth it, I'll buy it. Like the StarCraft documentary with Impact and J-Dong and shit. I can't even recall what it was, but I have it here somewhere, and I bought it day one because I knew it was wonderful. I saw the reviews coming in, and it was a good product. I know nothing about this guy's books. I'm not going to go out there and buy a book just to see if this is worth investing into, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know any of these people. I don't know who the fuck Dave Laurie is. I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. I can't tell you how great the work on a gaming thing is going to be. I don't know what art style this is because he didn't say what art style he's going to use.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted an RPG, there's a League RPG. It has been for years.
This is how we know we've made it, Mark. This is how we know we've made it as a subculture. The fact that people from outside of this subculture are now coming to us and are trying to use smoke and mirrors to get us to fund their shit and just create this fucking feedback loop of them getting paid from us because they pretended to give a shit. I've said it for years now, right? We don't need the mainstream anymore, and we should stop fucking pandering to them. Every time they come in here from outside, they rip us off, they misrepresent us to the public. Like, everyone talked about how positive that HBO thing with Skara is. It made Skara look like a fucking loser.
It did, yeah. And I don't mean to be mean, but have you seen the cover photo for the whole fucking C9 thing on...
yeah. Cheesy as fuck, dude.
It's not even cheesy. I hate it. This is not how they train. This is not what they look like. There's going to be a bunch of fucking idiots who are going to look at it and be like, wow, what a bunch of wannabe nerds.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I've been here myself, Mark. I've been here myself. So when I did Championship Gaming Series, I was the guy who was doing the video dailies. And as I always joke about, I managed to get the job from Too Good. Because we had to do three videos a day, and Too Good was sort of laboring a bit over his lines, and I just came in and just was like, I've never done this before, but I'm pretty sure I can do this. And they gave me an opportunity, and bang, I ran with it and got the job. So we had what the fuck was her name now? We had a page 3 model there anyway. I can't remember her fucking name. But basically her job was to, in between the games, like, so if it was Counter-Strike, she would go, are your guns ready? Locked and loaded? Are you ready to shoot them? And like lick her fingers and stuff. Now it's time for Counter-Strike. And we'd go to the Counter-Strike section. Now this bitch was a fucking idiot, by the way. Like she was, she couldn't do, she was terrible. She delayed shooting like all the time. I can't remember what her fucking name was. But anyway, so we fucking had all these problems internally with the fucking CGS, and then they came up with the idea of one of the ways we could get a good piece of content out of it was if we had this the guy who was doing all the video daily content, i.e. me, if she came over and tried to fucking act all sexy around me and I acted like I was a virgin nerd, and I just went, this ain't happening. I'm never doing that. I'm not debasing myself. I'm not debasing gaming culture. I'm not feeding into that idea that if you put a hot woman in front of a gamer, we just spray in our shorts and just act like a wanker. I'm not doing it. So they got Too Good in for that one, who did do it. And this is what I mean. I'm just so sick of the idea that you can just fucking get a bunch of fucking esports people, and because they're so desperate to make it, they'll act like idiots. And it's like you say that, that photo shoot where they're training like that and they're staring at the glove and laminations, doing the fucking stretches. It's just like, guys, please, pride, like, do it for esports.
Yeah. And you know what? This is the one thing that pissed me off the most about, I think it's ESL. I don't think Riot runs the EUW or LCS. Is Shocks. If you ever have heard her like on a stream or on anything when she's played ARAMs, she's very knowledgeable about champions and shit. But if you ever watch any interview with her, she asks the most open questions that she knows. And like that's what bugs me is they're sacrificing, like people's intelligence and shit for exactly just like that aspect of professionalism that we don't need, that we already kind of have. Like if you're watching the LCS, it's not your first time watching esports. It's not your first time watching this. This is the weekly shit that comes on all the time. If someone's watching new shit, they're probably watching a VOD of it. They're probably watching Worlds. They're probably watching whatever you're watching, whatever your sport is. You don't need to act all stupid in these questions. That's one of my favorite things about Dota 2 is they had that noob stream. I'll be honest. I've played Dota maybe a handful of times. That stream helped me the entire tournament way, and I probably could go in now and I'd understand what's going on. I might not be able to do it well, but I'd understand at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, dude, I'm totally with you on this, but actually you seem to be a little bit, I don't know, you seem to be a little bit balanced and rational. I don't like that. I want fucking irrational here, Mark. I want foaming hate, and I want this guy to be fucking told that he's a greedy piece of shit. So here's what I'm going to ask you. Well, first question, you must agree with the fact that he's a greedy piece of shit. But second question, what about all the fucking content creators? And this includes Travis, who's endorsing this guy, who've slogged away, given their fucking blood, sweat, and tears for the scene, and never thought about founding a fucking Kickstarter or milking the community or anything. Like, I sit on this fucking stream and I tell people not to sub, not to fucking donate, to give it a fucking charity, to do anything but fucking give it to me, because I make good bank already from this community. I get paid to write about the fucking game. I do not need to take the numbers that watch this fucking show and fucking turn them into dollars and cents. I don't need to do that. I'm here because I give a fuck, right? Well, and this guy doesn't give a fuck, and he's gonna get fucking rich off not giving a fuck.
Well, you mentioned Travis, and I think that's the best example you could do, because Travis for the league scene has probably done like the utmost over anyone. Because I was watching a stream, gosh, must have been 2 years ago. He was just streaming some ARAMs and stuff, and he was asking, I think this must have been right after he, or right before he was joining On Gamers or whatever the site was at the point. And I guess that would have just been GameSpot when he was doing his contract work. Someone asked him why he doesn't start a Kickstarter to get his own site going and everything. And it goes back to, I could start my own things, but then I couldn't do the content. And if I did that, there's no security for me. So people are like, now using that same argument of why this is great. There's a difference between security and having an actual company backing you. Like if On Gamers goes down, that would be surprising because it's backed by CS or CSBI. This dude's not backed by anyone. He just literally has a name.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
There's no publisher in this. There's nothing. This dude is doing this all himself. And like, that's what pisses me off about this. If this guy was hired by CSBI, if this guy was a regular New Yorker or Playboy writer, and this was coming out for that, I'd be 100% on board, you know. But this isn't.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's a smash and grab, dude. Here's what I'm gonna do. Tell me what you think of this idea, right? And if you like it, Mark, me and you will work together on it. Seriously, I'll add you. I like the cut of your jib. I feel like we're those two guys in the bathroom sharing cocaine right now. We've never met each other before, but one's got the goods and the other is feeling so good he just wants to share it with him. So here's an idea. Here's a cocaine-fueled idea, virtual cocaine. Right, I'm going to make a Kickstarter about all the fucking Kickstarters that rip people off. I'll make a documentary about how Kickstarter's been used as one of the most insidious fucking piece of shit tools to take money from naive fucking stupid people. And I'll do it through the same medium that ripped everybody off. How about that?
Let's do it.
Right, fuck it. It's a date, Mark. It's a fucking date. Because you're my kind of people.
Let's do it.
Right, awesome. Anyway, brother, look, thanks a lot for your call. I'm glad you brought it up. You're beautiful, you're articulate, you got a great voice and a great microphone. Please call in again sometime. I ranted loads over your point, man.
Hey, wait, one more thing. I've literally been messaging you for like the past fucking week and a half. Actually, I didn't last week because I was fucking busy. About getting your shit done, or about interviewing you. Fucking respond one of these days, dude.
Dude, man, you got to understand, like when it's lonely at the top, man. It's lonely at the top. We'll do it now. Now that I've heard your beautiful, beautiful voice, we'll do the interview. Fuck it, we could do it right after this show. I'll keep pounding beers. It'll be the best interview ever. It'll get me driven out of this business.
Wonderful. It's a date.
All right, man. Much love. Thanks a lot for calling in.
All right. Thank you.
Take care,
See
Mark.
y'all.
Peace. There you go. So there's Mark. Glad he fucking brought it up. I love how I give an impassioned speech, Sam, about subs and saying I wish people wouldn't sub, and then all of a sudden a flurry of subs.
Anything to piss you off.
I know. It's like I'm going to fucking give him money to piss him off about how he doesn't want people to give him money. But seriously, dude, Sam, what do you think of that idea? A Kickstarter documentary about all the fucking failed Kickstarters that have ripped people off and why Kickstarter fucking sucks.
Oh, it's just, I don't know, it's such an easy way to scam people out of money. People, like, because it seems like such a good thing when you
but
initially
that's
read
the
it.
joke at the end, Sam. Then I just
You don't make it.
And it's meta, scamception. Like, suck a fucking massive dick. That's what, that'll be the title of the documentary.
Suck a massive
dick. You get a DVD, you think you've got a documentary, and it's just me, like, laughing. Like,
Can have dinner with me for $5,000.
Suck a dick, I took your money, suck a dick. I just can't believe it, man. I can't believe people are still getting fucking burned by this fucking shit. It's like, I fucking love these people out there. You know, like, why are you giving money to these greedy motherfuckers, dude?
Especially when you have so much talent in esports as well. Esports journalism, there's people like begging for money, like writing thousands and thousands of words, just like, please give me any money. And then this guy comes in like, oh, I've wrote for a few magazines, give me 20 grand and I'll do something.
Yeah. It's like, you guys have extended my career by X amount of time. You've made me more relevant, and you've made me more money, and you've made me the talk of Playboy. So how the fuck can I milk you more? Not thanks. Here's a cool thing I'm going to give back to you for doing that for me. How can I get more money out of you? And the motherfuckers have done it. By the end of this show, it's going to go past $5,000. I feel like the more I fucking rail against it, the better it's going to do. And it just makes me so fucking sad.
Travis promoting it reminds me, have you seen Django Unchained? Have you seen Samuel L. Jackson's character, where he's been a slave for so long, and then a guy just comes on and he won't kill him? That's what Travis reminds me of right now. He's just bending over and taking the mainstream dick. And he's lubing it with the shitty fucking interviews he puts out as well.
Oh my god. I have to have a relationship with these people, Sam. The views of my producer do not reflect the views of me. What I will notice is, though, it is funny that he's championing it, and if you look at the stretch goal number 7, if it hits 32,000, he'll add a long chapter about Travis.
Oh my god.
And now, far be it from me to imply that the two are related.
I was just choked on my beer. Fuck me.
This show, man. Why did we do it? Anyway, look, I think that's a good fucking point to go on a break. Thanks to everybody for tuning in so far. There's loads more to talk about. If you want to talk about it, at call.trashtalk on Skype. And Sam will take your call, and I'm going to take him through hands in the break. Thanks a lot. Don't go anywhere. Back in 5. Hello, we're back. Apparently the mic was hot for a little bit there. Did we say anything bad, Sam?
No, it was only my mic. It's okay. They could only hear my heavy breathing and masturbating. That's fine.
Yeah, well, that's how we like to roll between takes, between episodes. So apparently, looks like we are going to make it some sort of ridiculous guest esports celebrity special because apparently we've got Brokenshard's going to come on, right?
Yeah, we have Ram, and he wants to talk about EUW Challenger roster change drama and his stand on the LS drama too.
Well, I don't want him shoot the goose and kind of
yeah, that's right. Blow his load early.
Yeah, before we do tomorrow. So maybe we can just keep it to the LS ocelot drama. Is he with us?
Yeah, I'll drag him in.
All right, let's drag him in. So this is Brokenshard. For all you guys who don't know, we like to call him Ram because that's his name. So let's see if he's on. Hello, Ram. My good friend Ram. Can you hear me?
Late again, like always.
Hello, boys.
I think he died to red buff. Oh no, here he is.
No, fuck off, man. The table got me this time.
Ram, dude. So look, I don't want your thoughts about the roster shit. Just save that for tomorrow, right?
Wait, do I have to go on video?
No, fuck no, God no.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna spare the viewers. No, I'm kidding. But I definitely want. I think it's fair that we've listened to Nick, and I think it's only fair that we get somebody from Gamers to get their thoughts on what happened as well. So.
Right. Yeah, but here's the thing. I want to state out that I'm not defending anything.
I know that, dude.
I know, like, my stance on this has been remain ignorant to retain sanity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been really trying to get involved, but basically, like, this entire situation has just been one big headache for me and a couple of the players. So let's be real for a second. No one really wants to deal with the drama, but like, it's just unfortunate because there's always going to be 3 sides to a story. There's one side, the other side, and the truth. But there's not really much else to say besides that. It's just such an unfortunate thing. The one complaint is that people took it to Reddit. Like, I honestly think that this entire thing could have been settled within 15 minutes on Skype with a mediated conversation, which I was trying to get done today.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, I was asked as well to sort of mediate, and I was like, I'm kind of willing to do it, but equally, I just don't get why we all can't be fucking adult and just handle our shit ourselves, right?
I mean, that's the thing. Like, by sending it to Reddit, not only is /Shadow getting personal attacks by whoever, people on the team, my players, and myself have been getting personal attacks.
What sort of personal attacks, Ram?
Okay, so this morning, I woke up around like noon, got a couple of Skype messages. Wow, this Gamers 2 drama, you gonna be okay, man? And I'm like, what's going on? Then I open my Twitter, and right off the bat, I get this beautiful, beautiful message from this random person, you filthy fucking Jew, supporting this ass-kissing, like just a bunch of disgusting profanity. And it's like people from the community are pulling in people who aren't involved into just a massive shitstorm, which is just a big deal because I'm not going to claim that anyone is innocent in this situation because it's not really my position to judge. My job description isn't drama handler, it's coach of an esports team, right?
Yeah.
So I don't associate myself with the drama, but when my players who aren't involved get pulled in, then I get really fucking pissed.
Yeah. So, well, go on, but I mean, what about how it's affecting them as individuals? I mean, you're going into a major tournament, a future deciding tournament very soon. And this is something that if I was Ocelot as one of those players, I wouldn't want my shit to be affecting 4 other of my teammates.
It's just unfortunate because my teammates, because one thing I noticed about that between EU and NA, just a really big thing is a lot of the EU players, when it comes to talking about the way they feel, they're very introverted about it, you know?
Yeah.
Like NA are all really touchy-feely, and when I was in Complexity, we always talked about like what we felt. But on EU, it's a lot harder to pull it out of. Maybe it's just my teammates, but it's something I've noticed. So even though that they aren't openly coming to me and telling me that something is affecting them from the PR sense, I can see it reflected in their play that they're getting inversely affected by this, which just kind of just pushes the point that why can't shit like this just be solved via a mediated Skype call?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but here's the thing. So I got to ask you while you're here, man. I mean, this has been dragging on a while. You must
Before
have had...
you go on, I'm glad it's over, though. I'm fucking glad that it's over.
Right.
Now.
So you must have chipped it. I know you, dude. You must have chipped in with your 2 cents at some point. You must have had a serious sit-down talk with Ocelot about this. So if you did, what did you say to him?
Basically, when it comes to dealing with drama or with any type of bad situation, why not just make it go away, right? Why have it's kind of just, let me pull up my like amazing analogies right here. It's like a rain cloud over your head, right? Why would you let it rain on you instead of pulling out an umbrella? Is kind of the situation. And I'm still really ignorant. I don't even know what the full amount that was promised or who's to who or who's to blame. I just know that there's a lot of really negative energy going on around the internet, and I'm just fucking glad that it's all fucking over. I did not speak to Ocelot directly about this because I don't want to have him more stressed than he already is, though I'm pretty sure, or have more negative influence coming into the team in the house. You know what I mean? Like that's not my job as a coach. My job is to fix problems, not make them worse, right?
I get that, but still, I mean, you know, a way to fix this problem would have been to not have made it a matter of pride and ego. You know, like it felt basically that what we were dealing with was and look, I'll say this, and Nick knows me. I got, you know, he understands. He admitted he was wrong a little bit himself. It felt like what we got to was ultimately.
I actually had a talk with Nick today. Before the giant shitstorm went like just like it was just a mini shitstorm. It got a lot bigger with like the whole tweet and response and stuff. But I was speaking to him, and it seemed to me that when we were speaking, that he was not happy with the way everything turned out. From what he told to me, and that he was just as willing to make it go away as much as me.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. So, right, so my point was going to be, you know, it felt like what we ended up actually doing was, it wasn't about doing the right thing. It wasn't about getting the resolution that people wanted. It wasn't even about just making it all go away and all stop. Actually, it became this very weird, this has to play out in public battle of egos. And on the one hand, you had, you know, your colleague Carlos, you know, fucking out there, right? Fucking, you know, talking about how he's a great guy and, you know, he would rather live under a bridge than not pay anyone any money, and have to talk with Riot and his spiritual advisors if they're not one and the same. He arrived at this conclusion. So you've got that. I don't understand why he needs to make a 22-minute video to say I'm not going to pay the dude.
I didn't know that was happening though. That's the thing. Right. Like I didn't know.
No. And that's fine. I'm not. This isn't about, you know, you or your involvement with Gamers 2. I know you're in an awkward position.
I'm really not, because there's nothing that I can say that's going to implicate me. I'm not in danger of losing my job, and like I don't really care about losing my job. Like I do care about the players on my team, and I do care about like being a coach, but people saying that I'm afraid of being fired, I'm really not. I've been fired from many teams in the past, and that's not stopped me from doing what I think, like
that's true.
What I want. I mean, yeah, that fired from many teams is true. Like
I've been I meant that you don't give a fuck is what I meant. But
no, I mean if you start giving fucks, then then you just compromise yourself. Like.
But so there was that, and then on the other hand, you had Nick. I mean, it's like I said to him, I don't know why you need to go public and be like, oh look, Gamers 2 are in a vulnerable position, fighting for their very LCS future. I can shit on that because they owe me money. And it's like what it effectively distilled down to was two egos having a dick measuring contest in public, and they invited Reddit, who were called a cancer, and as Nick knows, actually Reddit's not been overly kind to him, although he's probably got the sense not to call them a cancer. And basically it was like, hey Reddit, why don't you come look at our dick measuring contest, and why don't you tell us if the tape measures are evenly placed? You know, it was just like so ridiculous that was happening. It was very hard for me to kind of almost find anything to like about anyone in this whole situation.
Honestly, the biggest disappointment was that it got public. I think, I mean, me and you know both that there have been bigger shitstorms with much, much more at stake that was done in the private eye. Like, compared to the type of shit that has happened in the past year and a half, this is small. Like, if I really think about it. I mean, I don't really want to bring up specifics because obviously they've been dealt with, but something that is comparatively small to a lot of other big shitstorms that have happened in Europe honestly could have just been taken, just over a mediated Skype conversation. I do hope that it serves as kind of like a lesson point for future shitstorms to come, because we all know that we live off the shitstorm. That, Reddit and the community, they do want blood, but at the end of the day, the people who lose are the people who are not really involved, that are technically associated, right? It's like guilty by association all over again.
All right, so final question before I kick you off, because I've had a couple of subs saying, why have you got celebrities on the show tonight? It's meant to be about the people, which is true. How's this affected Gamers 2 going into the expansion tournament?
Like, what do you mean exactly?
Well, there must be some weird vibes around the team right now, Ram. This drama's not good.
No, it's never good. It's never good.
So has there been any negative, impacts on players or anything?
I would be lying if I said there wasn't.
That's what I mean. That's what I thought.
I can't speak for people. I won't choose to, but for me personally, it's been a bit harder. Because though I'm already like the victim of a lot of personal attacks on a day-to-day basis, I mean, me and you both know that, it kind of just gets worse during these shitstorms. Overall, like, it has been a bit rough for a few people, but now that it's over, I kind of expect things to slowly blow over, Like, it'll take a while, but the community forgets. Like, let's be real for a second. Like, this is a lot smaller than people are making out to be. And I'm not trying to retake from the importance of the issue or the fact that it was an issue regardless, but compared to a lot of other things that might be coming up, it's kind of like small fish.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a real sort of easy standpoint to agree with. I definitely lean more towards Nick, as is abundantly clear, I think, just on the basis that he did do the work. I think he should have got paid. But,
I'm going to slit your throat in the night. I'm just joking. I'm not leaning towards anything. I'm just leaning towards resolution rather than any particular side, right?
And that's the thing, man. I think the thing that we need to remember, Ram, is that when incidents like this happen in a public arena, it's very easy from the people on the outside to look in and say, oh my god, look at esports, it's just a bunch of kids playing it, being grown-ups, not actually a legitimate business. And these small ripples have an effect, it could impact on Gamers 2 next sponsorship deal. It could impact on, something Nick wants to do. It could even impact on something that, an organization or somebody that's got nothing to do with either of you, just by virtue of how it makes everybody look. So
people say that there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? But I really disagree with that because, I mean, it's just a really small example, but Edward made a tweet towards Nick, and I'm paraphrasing when I say it. It's like, there's so much drama around you. I'm not sure if that's going to help or detriment other teams working with you in the future. Best of luck to you. And that kind of raises the point that, in a way, Last Shadow brought it to the public so that he could, I guess, find justice, right? But at the same time, he's putting a lot of negative light on him, even if he might have not done nothing wrong or he did do something wrong. Like, I'm not blaming him, but this entire situation is a double-edged sword in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely on the money, Ram. Anyway, I look forward to you tomorrow. Hit me up on Skype and let me know whether our guest approved to do the show.
Oh, our guest? He's being a bit complicated, but he will probably be on tomorrow.
Dude, I
Probably.
I love it.
Professionalism.
Mate, I love it when you do shit like that. This is why when I close my eyes, I just see you. Anyway, Ram, thanks for coming on the show to give the Gamers 2 side of things.
I gotta go fight with Odie on Twitch chat because apparently I stole his cab in Paris.
Yeah, and it's believe me. Well, we'll see how that one goes. Film it. We'll place bets. But anyway, take care, brother. Much love.
Peace.
All the best. So there you go. So that was Ram giving the Gamers 2 version of things. I think that was pretty much as kind of middle of the roads as you can really get on the issue. And that is that ultimately, perhaps sometimes these things are better not resolved public. I know absolutely that Nick felt he had no other option but to go public. And this, it's one of those things, a learning experience for all. Thanks a lot for Ram coming on the show. Now, I saw some people out there, as I alluded to earlier when I was taking the Ram call, who said... Well, they said basically Ram's got channels to talk about this shit. Last Shadow's got channels to talk about this shit. Why are you having them on a call where you said, it's all about the people and all about your opinions? So, okay, you're a sub moldy, whatever the fuck your name was, moldy lol boots or whatever it was. We'll extend the show by half an hour. There you go. We'll extend it by half an hour. Sam, I hope you've got nothing to do tonight. We're extending the show by half an hour.
No, that's fine. I got the big shop in from Tesco with all my beer. I'm living the dream. I'm ready to go.
I remember about the big shop. What was the standout part of your big shop?
Oh, I don't know. Every time I order from Tesco's, I get this hickory barbecue pizza. It's pretty good. Mate,
What's on the pizza?
Chicken, sweet corn, barbecue sauce, and it's thin crust.
Ooh, nice.
And then my Cobra, my beer, my typical shitty beer.
Well, I people who are tuning in are probably fucking watching. Like, this is how you know when you're like overweight and you've got a bad lifestyle. Like, people are just thinking there's a fat guy jerking off to another guy describing a pizza. Oh, tell me about the pizza.
What sauce is on it?
Yeah. Oh, is it spicy? But anyway, Sam, we should probably take another call. Right. Who's it going to be and what they want to talk about?
A mutual friend of ours, House Spiffing, and he wants to talk about IEM and the votes.
Okay, very interesting. All right, then. So this is House Spiffing, I believe a journalist. I've actually attended an event with him. He's a pretty cool guy. He also used to be manager of Reason Gaming. Are you a manager of a team at the moment, Josh? If I remember rightly, you are, aren't you?
Yeah. Is my mic working though, by the way? It's not set up for Skype.
Yeah, mate, you sound brilliant. Your voice has got a lot deeper since we last spoke, even.
Cheers, I grew up a bit since then.
Yeah,
I guess we should talk about that night in
like
Paris.
a ton of breaks, bro. So which team do you manage at the moment?
I'm with Unlucky Boys at the moment. I guess no one really knows who we are, but it's like a challenger team. I think we're 5th on the ladder at the moment. Had some unlucky DCs today, so we lost some points, but oh well.
Oh, you mean you got fucking DDoS, right?
Potentially, not sure yet. There's no evidence, so you can't really say, can you?
Which team are you playing against?
I don't know. Can't really say. It's not my place, Richard. It's not my place.
I know how it is. So anyway, you want to talk about IEM and the votes? So talk about IEM and the votes.
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to get your opinion on it because I don't know how it made me kind of angry looking at the votes and seeing because I can already see the Reddit posts in a few weeks, or after IEM, sorry. Cloud9 beat Unicorns of Love, haha, NA better than EU. Do you get it? Do you feel me? Mm-hmm. People whine and whine and whine about wanting top tier competition at international events, apart from LCS. And then when the chance comes to put some top tier teams together, they vote for a bottom 3 team in Europe. What's going on here? Do you agree, or do you just? I don't know. I just wanted to hear your opinion on it, really.
Well, I know it sounds kind of difficult thing to assess because, right. So the voting, it's what it is. It's a popularity contest, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, people are going to want to shape the things that they would like to happen in future so they can talk about those things.
Yeah, but I feel like these people that voted for unicorns are just gonna be so disappointed, and they're gonna instantly realize their mistake as soon as unicorns don't do anything special, try and play a normal game, and just get destroyed by Cloud9 and TSM. It's just a waste of like
my
a
point
space there.
is they're creating that for themselves. These people who voted for them, they want to send a team with a ridiculous name and a ridiculous logo and no chance of winning to the event, so they can get ruffle stomped and talk about it on Reddit. That's the point. It's like if you said to me, Richard, Mike Tyson is making a comeback, one final comeback before he shoots himself and because he's fucking crazy and his life's over. And he's actually got in pretty good shape now. We measured his left uppercut and it's killing people just as much as it used to do. It's like Ivan Drago shit. And who do you want him to fight? Do you want him to fight this guy who's the current heavyweight, champion of the world and will probably beat him? Or do you want him to fight some fucking bum that you don't like? It's like, anyone, I don't know, name somebody, right? So I'd be like, let me think about this. Valid contest that puts boxing in a good light once again and shows that, these kind of ridiculous novelties are bad and that boxing and martial arts indeed should not be a popularity contest and true athletic competition is what matters, or watch some fucking prick get the shit kicked out of him by Mike Tyson. Who the fuck am I gonna vote for? Right, I'm voting for the bellend to get the beating because that's human nature. Even somebody like me. So I'm not saying unicorns of love are bellends, and I'm not saying that
I'm not saying they're bad.
I'm
not saying they're essentially terrible. It's just that, my main problem with it was that it was quite a while ago, but it came up at some point in the LoL subreddit non-stop, like, Riot, please make more international competitions, please make more Battle of the Atlantic so we can see how the top teams of each region play against each other. Oh, but now it's my chance to actually make that happen. Oh, fuck it, I'll vote for one of the worst teams in the league.
But again, I mean, what you got to understand is, I think one of the things that people actually like as well, though. So let's say you're not a cynical asshole like me, and you don't just want to see some bum get beat by Mike Tyson. What if you want a small team to get really good exposure, really good fan base, the chance to increase their fan base at least, and the opportunity, like one result, one big upset can launch a team. Now, Unicorns of Love have got zero chance of that upset if they sit at home and they don't go. But if they get voted to go, and they go and they get that upset, it doesn't matter how far they go in a tournament. It's like you say, everyone's going to be expecting them to do dog shit because they're going to be the weakest team there. So, it's potentially an opportunity in disguise as well. I agree with what you're saying. I think they'll get absolutely whooped. But, it's like people said that about Kaboom when they played Alliance. And now the only...
Can we not talk about that, Richard? Come on. We all forgot
on.
About that here in Europe.
Yeah, well, Europe's a shit fucking region right now. You all got to fucking wake up to the fact that we ain't what we were a while ago. NA is a stronger region right now.
I was actually looking recently. I was doing research for an article and I looked at IPL 5. And I think NA took one game and the whole thing over a European team. I was like, damn.
Fucker.
I miss those times. But yeah.
But, so that's what I'm saying, like Kaboom, right? Like Kaboom would just, okay, I don't want to be too disparaging about them. They were certainly good representatives of their, the Brazilian region and whatnot. But, the name Kaboom now will resonate through the ages. I have no doubt that they got a bunch of fans, bunch of Twitter followers, a bunch of this, bunch of that. Like they've done really well out of that one game, even though ultimately within the whole context of their history, it means absolutely fuck all. Right? So this is actually a good thing for Unicorns of Love because as long as they don't disgrace themselves, they've got real potential. Now, I agree. People are going to shit on them on Reddit. People are going to laugh at them and talk about how they're like, oh, lol, Europeans, trash, lol. That's going to happen.
Unless they play Poppy, of course, and then people will love them regardless.
Well, but the key thing in all of this, though, the key thing in all of this is, why should any of that matter? Because if they go out there and they actually do their best and they work hard and manage to pull off some kind of freak result, they're made for the next 6 months. They've got a terrible organization name, by the way. It's got to be said. It reeks of not being serious.
Well, that's just how they got all their fans in the first place. So
right,
they'd be silly to change it. It's kind of like Super Hot Crew, but more so.
Well, but it's dumber than Super Hot Crew.
Yeah.
And Super Hot Crew was pretty dumb. So, it's like if they... And again, you can't... You can't be like, we're fucking, we're not really all that serious. And then they get sent to this event and, they suck. And, if you get a little bit of hate for that, it's kind of to be expected. You're walking a tightrope when you call yourself Unicorns of Love and, have a big, rainbow vomiting unicorn as your logo. So that's just my take on it. I think, I got to be honest. I think it's a good thing that they go. If they want to be serious and they want to step it up, they know what they have to do. They got a big task ahead of them. But it's not impossible that they could get a game, beat a big opponent. Stranger things have happened, and more recently in League of Legends. So what? Come on, Josh. This is about your opinion. So I'm guessing you think it sucks that they've been voted.
I'm not exactly. Well, maybe. I mean, the salt that people must be hearing from me now is pretty much tangible. But I don't know.
Why are you salty then?
I was kind of hoping to see some actual, top tier competition, because there's alliances going, TSM and Cloud9 are going, so it's like, okay, there's 3 top tier teams from the region. It's going to be pretty good, and then you put in Unicorns of Love over who else was in the vote? SK was in the vote, and I mean, we don't know who their roster is, but it's expected to be forgiven, and not sure who the mid laner is yet completely. And then there's also Super Hot Crew in there, who might be getting some good players as well. I just think there could have been a much better way about it. And also, you say Unicorns of Love are like that kind of team, the Cinderella story. But Team 8 got 2.5% of the vote, and they're essentially North America's Unicorns of Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, again, right? I mean, this is the difference in attitudes right now. Here's a thought for you. Here's a theory, Josh. Something for you to take to your bed tonight, and while you're crying about EU West being, the European region, EU West being the worst solo queue, European region being the worst in terms of talent. Something for you to mull over. What if people were scared, like Europeans were scared of sending SK? Or sending anyone credible from Europe, and they went with the option that they thought if it lost, they could turn around and go, they ain't even a serious team though. Europe's still the best. Yeah,
I did not think about that. It's a good thought.
I got a political brain. See, I can see these machinations as they come in. I wonder if that's part of it. Maybe we're a little bit scared. I mean, like, you can't underestimate SK Gaming's dip in popularity after Svenska and went full, racist, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I label him as such, but I think people perceive
it was less racist and more just stupid, really. But
yeah, somewhere between
typical
the two
EU, actually, I'd call it. Typical EU. It's what he did there.
So I don't know, man. I think, look, I'm a great believer in opportunity knocks. I'd like to see Unicorns of Love do well. I'm with you. I don't think they will. But, if you're going to run things based on a popularity contest, be prepared for it not to necessarily align with what's best for the tournament.
And Carmack already said the next one's also going to be a vote, which is brilliant news, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, this is what I mean. I thought as esports, we were moving away from these popularity contests, but the point, I guess, is that if you allow popularity contests to dictate which teams compete in which tournaments and which players compete in which tournaments and all of this sort of stuff, if you allow that, you guarantee the viewership. Yeah. So that's the mindset behind it. So I don't know, dude, but I get what you're saying. I think you have a point. I just think there's probably a variety of reasons why Unicorns of Love, deserve their shot. When you're watching the tournament, will you be rooting for them to win?
I will be, yeah, definitely. I don't want them to fail. I just think they will.
Well,
As harsh as it sounds, it's like when I watch Arsenal play football. I don't want them to fail, but I think they will.
Yeah, I think most people would agree with you there. But look, man, I'm real glad that you called in. It's good to see that you're doing all right and managing your team. What have they called again? Unlucky boys?
Unlucky boys with an I instead of a Y. Our 15-year-old former mid laner came up with that name, so don't judge.
You've fallen pretty far, Josh. I wish you guys all the best. I'll keep an eye out for you. Do you think you're going to be unlucky? Are you guys in expansion or doing anything?
We're going for expansion. We'll see how it goes. Good teams in their gamers too. H2K, Millennium with their imports. So we'll see.
Looking forward to that. I mean, I'm nowhere near as hyped for the European one as the NA one, but again, that's just about the requisite strengths of the regions.
Yeah,
so, anyway, look, thanks a lot for calling in, Josh. I hope you take care of yourself. Again, loving your new deep voice and keep growing up.
Thanks, dude. Peace out.
All right. Catch you later, Josh. So there you go. Unlucky boys. There you are. Sam, is that the worst name for a team you've ever heard?
Unicorns of Love is pretty close, I guess.
No, but I'm talking about Unlucky Boys. That's going to be worse than Unicorns of Love.
Yeah, I don't know. At least that one is that one's satire. The other ones you can't tell.
Unlucky with an I? Surely
no, boys with an I. Unlucky is spelled right, but boys is B-O-I.
I thought both had an I.
No, unlucky is a Y.
So you seem to know a lot about this team, Sam.
Just
and you're being very defensive. Are you a fan?
Well, I'm on the team. No, I'm just kidding.
We should make our own team called Shit Producers.
Oh! How did your stream go without me when you were trying to stream League yesterday and you were stuck on black screen for 30 minutes? How did that go?
Well, yeah, it didn't exactly put me in a good light. It made me look like some sort of Neanderthal trying to figure out what the fuck fire was.
What do these buttons do?
Yeah, but in the end, I cleared off all the incriminating material off my desktop and we had a good stream. And, gotta say, you were banning my Blitzcrank, motherfucker.
I wasn't banning. I was just, dishing out the pain.
You were telling them.
I weren't. I wasn't scared of it. You can play whatever you want. I'm not scared. When you have to click flash with your mouse, I'm not scared.
I've got a GIMP hand. What do you want me to do? Like, if I don't click on it, I can't be sure I've touched it. And there's nothing more embarrassing than like running up to a wall to do a flash over it so you live, and then clicking exhaust.
Yeah. Can't you put it somewhere else? Why don't you put it at like space and you can headbutt her or something?
Well, I don't want my hairline to recede any more than it already is. So.
It's too far gone.
So anyway, give me another call, my friend, and tell me what it's about.
We have Jack, and he wants to talk about the relationships between both pros and fellow pros, and solo queue arguments leading into stopping them getting onto teams. Mostly with Dyrus and Impaler.
Yes, this has come up a couple of times, actually. We talked about it with Valkyrin, didn't we, as well, when he came
Guy's got a great beard as well, by the way. Fair play.
If that is him in the picture, he looks pretty
he's a good-looking guy.
Yeah, everyone's good-looking. I feel like now is probably the time to change my sexuality. We've had a lot of good-looking guys on the show today. Thank God we don't have cameras, because it would show me up totally. So, Eggnogger is his name. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Hey, awesome, dude. Again, everything we said was true. Good-looking guy, great beard. Except for flattery.
It is in fact me, but I've only been able to grow the beard for about 5 months ago. It came out of nowhere, so...
Again, puberty's a glorious thing. So you want to talk about a relationship between players and solo queue, arguments, and how that can impact on people getting onto teams. So tell me all about it, brother. What are your thoughts?
It came from the whole Dyrus Impaler kind of whatever's going on there, like the clash that they had over Twitter, over Dyrus's stream. And it's just the fact that people's personalities in solo queue seem to change depending on who's on their team, who's streaming at that very time. If they don't think anyone's streaming, then they call out these well-known players. For example, in a solo queue game through the week, I'm a Cutie Pie was streaming, and he didn't choose to end the game at the Nexus. I don't think he was hitting the Nexus. He was just stood there and trolling, and Night Blue was on his team, and they wiped, and they ended up losing that game. And Night Blue reported him after the game for griefing. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I
And
mean,
obviously, they're both streaming at the time. People
Yeah.
jumping from stream to stream going, oh, did you hear what Nightblue said? Oh, Cutie's reported you, you know. And it's just like, what is going on? You know, people's attitudes are just like
all right.
so
So
obscure.
before we go on to the next incident, because obviously you got more than one to talk about. What are your thoughts about that particular incident?
The Nightblue incident or the Dyrus?
The night blue and I'm a cutie pie incident.
Nightblue obviously is a solo queue player. That's all he's ever been. That's his thing. If he wants to get a lot of LP, he wants to be top rank 1. That's what his stream's entitled. It's 1000 LP he wants to get to. So I can understand, and the guy is on like edge permanently. The guy is like on the verge of kill if someone does anything sort of wrong. So I can sort of understand it when Cutie's just stood there at the Nexus, not even attempting to win the game, when he obviously could get a decent amount of LP from that game. Goes on to lose it, and then obviously he's going to be pretty pissed. So, I can understand where he's coming from, and I can understand Cutie's side of things. Obviously, he's there as an entertainer nowadays. Now he's not on Team Dignitas. He wants, like, his fans, his following seem to think, and I'm sub to Cutie, don't get me wrong, I think the guy's great, but, he's got to understand that sort of thing is going to piss people off a lot, especially hardcore solo queuers like Nightblue 3.
So here's my take on it, right? And I gotta say this. I think one of the attitudes that I hate is when professional players kind of treat solo queue as a chore. Because let's be honest, right? It's kind of like the old argument about why would you want to try hard in a pub game when you're a professional player? Why would anyone want to try hard against me? I've seen so many Counter-Strike players down the years be like, oh, you're just a pub player, you're just an amateur. Why the fuck should I have to try hard to beat you? I would obviously beat you in a competitive setting, so, get fucked, right? And actually, this is one of the things that drove a lot of pros in Counter-Strike Source that I knew to cheat, actually. To cheat at the game, because they couldn't be bothered with the continual effort that they had to make to stay on top, to maintain the illusion that they were, the very best players who ever played the game. Their egos and their reputations weren't willing to let them lose, because at the end of the day, we want to be on point all the time. But their defining argument whenever they did play bad in a different setting was, smash you in competitive, I've gone to LAN, I've won LANs, what have you done? So, fast forward now to League of Legends. And I see all these players who play professionally, and, they're right in a way. Solo queue is a jerk-off. It's not anything important. It's not as meaningful as the things they do in LCS week in, week out. But for a lot of top players and a lot of professional streamers, that is their LCS. That is what defines them. When they do a stream, people tune in because they're in Challenger, because they're in Masters, because they're fucking high diamond. And anything that detracts from that is potentially affecting their credibility with their fans and viewers. It's potentially impacting on their viewers, and it's impacting on the thing they actually care about, and that is winning games. So my take when I saw the Cutie Pie thing, and I'm obviously I subbed Cutie Pie stream. I think he's a great guy. We've come like this close to an interview on a dozen times. I hope it happens one day. But I gotta say, it's really super selfish to be like, I don't need to win this game. It's meaningless within the context of my life. So please, let's risk losing this game so I can go back and get an item and entertain my streamers and my fans a little bit longer and fuck up your shit. Now, if somebody did that to me, I'd probably report as well, actually.
I don't blame Nightblue at all for reporting. That's what the report function's there for. Whether it's done properly, how it works, I don't know how Riot do it. Nothing will come from it, probably. But also another thing,
of course not.
Chris was also in that game. Used to be Curse Chris. He's now Coast Chris.
Yeah.
And him in chat, you could tell he was just dying to go off on Cutie as if to say, what the heck are you doing? And obviously he's kind of like keeping his mouth shut because, I don't know.
Well, he'd already had the front page post about Ebola, didn't he?
Yeah, that guy's infamous as well for his raging in solo queue. But like you say, a lot of them don't take it seriously or as seriously as they should. They just see it as a sandbox for trialing out new champions.
And I don't even necessarily disagree with that attitude, because they're good enough to win the game while experimenting. We're talking about the very best players in the game. We're talking about the elite. If someone wants to build unconventionally, you've got to have the faith in that individual player to know that an unconventional build could still come off for them, because they know enough about the game and enough about the game mechanics to make it work. What happened there was an absolute guaranteed win on the table, and to continue to entertain the stream, to continue to dominate the game, for whatever reason, the win was stopped, and it left a real bad taste in everyone's mouth. Now, Nightblue gets a lot of abuse, and I kind of understand it a little bit at times. He postures as someone who's very calm and balanced and pretends he doesn't flame and doesn't get embroiled in these petty arguments. In actual fact, he's a really kind of salty character. He goes on tilt very easily, as you said. And when he's having a bad time and a bad run in games, it's really evident. And he's a streaky player. He'll go on streaks of wins and he'll go on streaks of losses. A lot of the time, that's down to his attitude. But in this instance, I kind of find myself siding with him.
Absolutely. As much as his stream is very informative. He does a lot for the community. People tune in to learn his jungle pathing. He gives constant updates on what he's doing. So I can only appreciate what he does. And in terms of, it's not just him, but if you were on Cutie's team and you weren't Nightblue and you were just some guy trying to get noticed for an LCS team, and you're in Challenger, you're up there, and you want to win it, you want the LP to kind of get noticed by one of these Challenger teams, one of these LCS teams, and then he's kind of going around. This sounds like I'm hating on Cutie Pie. That's not the issue.
No,
I tune into that guy every day.
I say I'm a Cutie Pie sub. I'm a paid up Stonewall Cutie Pie sub. But I think in this instance, it was an error of judgment on his part.
Yeah, we're all members of the Big Dick Club, but
I already was before I subbed to Cutie Pie. I think everyone knows that, dude.
I think I must have got the beard when I subbed. I think it comes as part of the subscription. But yeah, and then obviously this whole Dyrus issue with Impaler. Impaler's only been there 5 minutes, and the guy's already pissing off the most infamous top laner player for the most famous team in the LCS. Obviously, the vlog he goes back on it, whether Reggie's been in his ear as if to say, let's put this one under, let's get on brush this one under the...
Yeah, let's get on that issue separately, dude, because you've brought up multiple good points. I think one of the other things as well is there's a myth that Nightblue is a very informative streamer. I actually never took that from watching his stream. I could probably name 5 or 6 streamers that I would consider more educational than Nightblue. I don't think actually you get a great deal from watching. Well, actually, no. But yeah, he's not really an informative streamer, right? I think that's an unfair label. Entertaining, actually, yeah, kind of, but definitely not the most informative out there anyway. I think if you wanted to learn the game from somebody who is super high ranked, I could probably point to a bunch of people. But then we've got the whole Dyrus and Impaler situation.
Oh my goodness.
Which, okay, so... you give me a summary in your words, brother. What do you think happened?
Sorry, I'm calling him Nightblue now. Jungle confusion. Impaler took a blue buff. It's solo queue. He ain't there to share it. He's there for himself. A lot of people consider solo queue as it's me against 9 other guys. The guy takes a blue buff. Dyrus goes crazy on the guy. Obviously, Dyrus has a much bigger following, and Impaler's new over there, and he obviously recently got dropped from Super Hot Crew, so people are going to just side with Dyrus's opinion on this. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think it's much ado about nothing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, frankly, I'm inclined to agree. But, Dyrus did go off.
Oh my... But isn't he it's the same Dyrus that obviously was so against the idea of Sheep joining the team because of some solo queue argument. Pot kettle black. The guy's calling out Impaler, and what if Dyrus was without a team? Oh no, you can't join our team. You flamed Impaler that one time in solo queue. Sorry, there's the door.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it just doesn't set a good example. He's meant to be like as cheesy as it sounds in League of Legends, a role model. And on his stream, what did he say? He had a few beers. I mean, come on now, dude.
well, I mean, I gotta say, look, I see both sides of the argument here, and I'll give full disclosure. I'm a TSM fan. No one believes it, because I've written several negative articles about TSMs. A couple about Reggie, that sort of thing. But I gotta say, I would hate to be in the spotlight to the degree that they are, and it's very hard for them to ever cut loose. Especially they've got a stream. It's like their second job. Part of the branding for TSM and part of their kind of plans for global domination dictate they've got to stream so many hours. Not only that, they're now even working around people's sleep patterns to ensure there's always a TSM streamer, and they're not actually taking viewers from each other. That's public knowledge. That's happening. They've said that. Dyrus is under a lot of pressure. He's a fairly passive guy, actually. And when he flips out, I always think it's a manifestation of external pressures that he's feeling in other areas. It's actually got nothing to do with the thing he's angry about. Like, do I think he is pissed off about someone taking a blue buff? Like, no. Of course he isn't. He's pissed off about all the other fucking stuff that's going on in his life. He's pissed off about having a work as much as he does. Let's not forget as well, like, he's probably number one in the fucking hit squad. Like, we're looking at all the older players and pensioning them off and talking about how they're not relevant anymore. Like, Dyrus is probably right up there as one of the people everyone's looking at, like, ooh, yeah, he's had a bad run of games. He needs to be kicked. TSM need a new top laner. He's looked around that TSM team, and the core of it isn't there anymore. So he's in the back of his mind is always, am I replaceable? Am I next? Right? So there's that. Then you've got the fact that you're one of the most popular streamers and one of the most popular personalities. Anything you say, anything you do, someone is putting that shit on Reddit. It's going to get upvoted. And if enough people see it before the mods remove it for witch hunting or whatever, it's going to come back and haunt you, which is why you try to get ahead of the story and make that apology VOD, which he did today. And at one point, it even looked like he was reading the apology VOD, like the things he wanted to say in it, off his phone.
Yeah, he probably had it like all written out on one of his. The guy doesn't look like someone who, he doesn't strike me as someone that'd be off the cuff, and he probably did read off his phone. But another thing, Saint Vicious living up to his name. Oh my goodness, the guy comes in the White Knight himself. Here he is, boys. Brandon DeMarco, Mother Teresa, agony aunt of NA solo queue. I mean, where is he coming from? I thought Hotshot GG's up next with a case of, it's okay, guys. Look, let's brush it all under the carpet. It's over.
But I'll tell you this straight up, man. Like, the whole Saint Vicious thing, like, people don't realize, because they've seen Drunk Vicious, they've seen Salt Vicious. Not a lot of people realize that, like, you couldn't actually get to his stage in life, having done the things he's done, without actually having good conflict resolution skills. He's been a captain on a team for a long, long time, and he'd come in and try to diffuse the situation. Unfortunately for him, it only made it worse. People don't realize, actually, there are many facets to his personality. I think everyone thinks he's a fucking salty asshole. But in actual fact, if anything, as he's got older and he's gone through his, League of Legends career, he's actually kind of got even better at balancing the emotions and interacting with other people. So, yeah, it seems to me like, I know the whole Dyrus situation. I don't even know if it was worth an apology vlog, frankly.
I feel bad talking about it. I'm seeing Twitch chat and they're talking about someone taking a blue buff. I mean, I know this is called trash talk, so
no. But actually, Joe, do you want to know what though? I think it's an ideal thing to talk about because it actually highlights the degree to which these players are scrutinized.
It is like TMZ. Reddit is like. Yeah. I mean, I'm not American, but the reference still holds up. It's like. Zion Spartan spotting at the Dignitas house. Is there someone sat outside each of these gaming houses with a camera waiting for potential new start? I wonder who's outside Dignitas's house. Odie, please let us know. Who's walking through the door in the next minute or so? Is it Deft? Is it Vasily?
This is what I mean, though, dude. Right? So look at it from Darius's point of view. It's like I'm saying for him, streaming isn't necessarily optional. I don't know. I'm guessing here, but I'm pretty sure it's in his contract. He's got to stream X amount of hours. I know lots of organizations insist on that right now. So even if you don't feel like it and you're looking at your quota, you've got to deliver. You've got to deliver that quota. So you sit there and you do it, and you know that you can't express any real emotions. You can't, because if you do, someone's going to fucking complain about it. Someone's going to write off to a sponsor. You might get kicked off a team over it. Your career might be over. It's an abjectly miserable situation. And at least the one thing I would say is if you're an independent streamer and not on a team and aren't necessarily sponsored and you're just top of Twitch, as long as you don't break the Twitch rules, you can pretty much go fucking ham and you're golden, But
yeah, that was one thing. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
That was one thing Cutie Pie said when he said that obviously he's left Dig now. And one thing Riot says is that you can't in solo queue say "I fucked your mom" or something like that. And obviously now that he's free of the Riot chains, he's okay to tell people in solo queue that he fucked them.
I like to think that's a joke. I mean, the idea that Riot have to sit people down and go, okay, here's a list of things you can say. Can say, "Get wrecked, son." Can't say, "I fucked your mum, son." The idea they have meetings about that.
It's a player summit. I mean, I don't know what rule 1 on the whiteboard. I can't say I fucked your mum. But like you say, in NA Challenger, in EU, NA more so, at one point in the day, someone is always streaming on Challenger. So whether, a big timer like Bjergsen, Dyrus, whoever is playing, they'll probably be in one of the games. So whatever they say in all chat, is going to be seen. It's not like they can get a day off. They're always being under this watchful eye of anyone on Twitch. And then next thing you know, it's a Reddit post. It's did you see what he said in all chat? Did you see what he did here? And I mean, and even to the point where I can hear Santorin in the background of Bjergsen's stream, and is he speaking Danish? And it's just crazy. I mean, I think it's good.
I'll drop the whole Cosodis in the chat still. I'll drop the whole Zion Spartan at the CLG house thread. I mean, prime example, right? So I'm not gonna say that the only reason it hasn't been announced is because they're awaiting this whole thing about poaching gate. But Odie's in the chat, so I'm sure Odie will shed some light on it. So
it's the way they describe it. Zion Spartan spotted at the dig. Did they drop him off in a black cab and he's got this black veil shroud over his head so that none of the cameras can see him when they enter people into the Big Brother house so that nobody can see those guys? And it's is that him? Are they his yellow pants from the LCS? It's got to be Zion Spartan.
Your final point was about how these fights could actually prevent some teams coming together in the future, and I'm interested to get your opinion on that actually, because I mean, I talked about it with Valkyrin on another episode of this show when he called in, and he said about how it actually does go on. Good players get denied opportunities because of solo queue arguments. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that grudges are held far too long for in the moment reactions to something that goes on in a game. A lot of people what they type in all chat is just spare at the moment. Tap, 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 enter. They don't think before they type it. They don't think, what are the repercussions of this? I might, 6 months down the line, I might become the best support player in NA, and TSM might be looking for a support, or C9 might be after, and that will hinder my chances of joining said team because of what I said to, one of their players in a game. And I know you referenced with Valkyrie and the sheep incident. I spoke to that guy, when LCS came to London at Wembley, and I was staying in the same hotel as Sheep, and I spoke to him at length, and he seemed like as if it just baffled him that was their reasoning as to why they wouldn't give him a tryout because of something he said that was so. I mean, people in Twitch chat are going to reference whatever he said, but
it was kill yourself.
Yeah,
he told Dyrus to kill himself. Which, some of my best friends have told me to kill myself.
It's something that people say in sort of everyday chat. It's not meant literally. at all. And it's like, you'll see it all the time, but certain points get just homed in on and used and just held onto. It wouldn't surprise me if Dyrus still had a screenshot of when Sheep said it to him in Skype chat and goes, "Here you go, Reggie, don't let this guy have a trial. Look what he said about me." I mean, this is stopping talented players joining the teams in LCS, and this is why they have to forge these band of merry men of solo queue superstars into like a solo queue team, because that's the only way they're gonna have a chance of making it, is because look, no one's gonna think, oh, we need an AD carry, let's look in NA solo queue first. It doesn't happen. It's, have we got one of the spaces for a foreign slot? Okay, let's have a look in Korea, let's have a look in China. And that's become the basis of it now. I mean, TSM, for example, what are they? They've got one American in the team, 2 Danes now, essentially. I mean, it's not been confirmed, TSM Santorin, but might as well be. Yeah, hot guy 6-pack or whatever he calls himself in solo queue now.
He is a hot guy with a 6-pack, apparently.
It's true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, yeah, so that's what I mean. It's a shame because there's talent in NA solo queue, and maybe the CLG Pobalta thing is true. And, obviously his efforts, I mean, it's been potential because the guy's played since before even season 1. So, I mean, he's not exactly a new kid on the block, but, I think people need to look closer to home in terms of these players that actually put a shift in on solo queue, and they're not streaming 24 hours a day like some people, and they're just putting the work in. And a lot of the time it goes unnoticed because they're not a big presence. They're not, whooping and hollering on a screen or a webcam on Twitch. That's just kind of how I see it, is they're not entertaining, therefore, nobody really recognizes them. But I mean,
well, look, dude, you brought up some awesome points, and we're going to try and fit in one more caller tonight. It was great to hear from you. I think you brought up an interesting thing, and it's like you said, don't feel bad about talking about this, because ultimately this is the kind of scrutiny that the players are under. And I feel sorry for the players that they're under that sort of scrutiny, but equally, like Spider-Man was told by Uncle Ben, maker of the delicious rice, with great power comes great responsibility, and Reddit threads calling you a cunt. So,
hey, that's just the way it is. And I mean, they're under the microscope 24/7. But they're sports players. They're sports players essentially, and that's how it works in the NBA. That's how it works in the Premier League.
Exactly. Welcome to the big leagues, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, man,
boys.
Thanks a lot for calling in. I hope you'll call in again sometime. Keep cultivating that lovely beard, and I wish you all the best.
Well, have a good night. Thanks a lot.
All right, peace out, man. Okay, so we got time for one more caller. Sam, first of all, I'm going to bring you in. Get away from that Tesco shopping. Well, this is the stage of the show where I feel like I want the last call to be the best call.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get a few options for you. We have Jonathan McDaniel. He wants to talk about the potentially good format for the expansion tournament was ruined by the 3 out of 5 rule, and Riot are making it worse by keeping the format the same with just shuffled seeds. I know you like some good Riot hating.
Yeah, there's a guy who's called in every week to talk about some StarCraft thing, and I always say no to him. And I
think he gave up this week.
Oh,
he was
brutal.
done.
Brutal.
Oh wait, no, he's here, but he's AFK. It's a shame.
Yeah, see if you can get him on. I'll definitely reach out and try and make that happen. What are the callers have we got?
We have Max, who would like to talk about CLG roster swaps.
Okay.
Matthew Ross, who wants to talk about the differences between Western and Korean coaches and how it affects the players and level of play.
I think the Korean versus the rest of the world shit's been done to death, especially on this show. Yeah. Is there not one Counter-Strike? Like, we had so much to talk about Counter-Strike.
Yeah, we did. Hang on.
Fifth Laren's left, like, shit, dudes.
No, the guy who's AFK wanted to talk about the ESCW thing.
Oh, the girl fight. Sorry.
Yeah. The brawl.
Okay.
We have Simon Wagner. Remember last time when he just dropped out and he was a troll? Apparently he said he wasn't a troll and he just DC'd.
Shit, yeah, but the thing was, like, he said he wasn't a troll, but he did that whole, fucking, what was it? He went, and
then just
no. So I don't know if I want to risk having him on again.
To be fair, he's given me like a Google Doc of notes. So if he's a troll, he's worked hard.
Well, maybe we get him on next week. If we test him and he passes, it's like Fight Club. You've got to sit on the porch for at least 2 shows.
Yeah.
With no encouragement. So, any others?
Itai wants to talk about esports infrastructure as a whole.
Not gonna work.
Dallin Kimball wants to talk about complexities, 2 rosters, and the Pro League whole league management team issue.
Right, tell you what, let's fucking rewind. Max and the CLG thing. Come on. CLG's always good. It's League of Legends. I can't believe none of you Counter-Strike motherfuckers out there wanted to call in tonight. You all fucking suck. But CLG.
CLG hype, yo.
Yo,
Wait,
here we
me?
go. Yeah, I can. So great to hear from you, Max. I see that you like to use the handle Maxitron. That's pretty good. But Max, let's talk about CLG and CLG hype. So we know a little bit about the roster changes. I mean, Seraph's pretty much out. Zion Spartan in is a given. But there's been lots of talk about other replacement areas. I know they've been linked with a few people. There was a horrifying thought that maybe Link might be trying out in the jungle. Looks like Link might be on his way out, actually, which I think could be a great thing for CLG. What do you think?
Well, personally, I found that whole like idea where Scar was on that vlog. He's like, yeah, so we have the top lane, we have the bot lane, and I immediately like, oh, well, Seraph's still there. But then I thought, okay, maybe he did bring Zion with him. So I think that is probably going to be a done lock deal for the most part. I do believe that Link is probably definitely going to go. I mean, I'm almost certain he's going to go because, I mean, for one, the fan base of CLG, I can speak for them because I've been a fan for like 2 seasons. Link has just always said like, yeah, there's so much potential, you know, all this kind of stuff. And he's always been hyped, but I feel like he's starting to really, it's really starting to show that that hype's really never going to come around and, I guess, show up for the fans.
As a fan, tell me about your relationship with Link. Because it felt to me like there was a point in time where it just looked like he was going to go big. And then somehow he just ended up being shit again. And I was horrified by his performances in, relegation and towards the end of the split. So tell me what your thoughts about it are. Because, like, have you been willing him to step up? Like, what are your thoughts?
So for the most part, I was always like, yeah, that's really sick, Link. Because when I really was like hyped about Link was after All Stars, because he had that amazing relatively amazing performance with C9, and it's like, yeah, Link's gonna come back to NA, he's gonna go back to CLG, shit on everybody, he's a really good Orianna, like all that kind of stuff, and I don't know. That's when I got really hyped about him. And then during CLG's like uprise, the whole split, someone did a statistic, and his only good champion that he ever had actually any sort of success on was Orianna. And then when that got removed, he'd be completely like, I don't know, mid-tier, mediocre. And I don't know, he's always fallen off, and he's always had like 1 to 2 champions. And they're like, oh yeah, he's the best TF in NA and all this stuff. And he's always had so much hype, but it's really disappointing as a fan to like constantly see him getting beaten down. And I felt the same way about Doublelift for a while too. Like, sometimes he's not upholding all the hype, but I don't know. I guess it's because a lot of people still think that Doublelift, because I saw a thread on Reddit a couple nights ago saying like, yeah, Doublelift, what they should have done is just gone rid of all the old stars if they're going to get rid of Link. But like, I mean, I don't know, Doublelift's from my whole hometown, so you gotta support.
Yeah, you gotta root for the guys, and I mean, put it this way: if you're gonna keep Doublelift, that's cool and everything. Afro for me is one of the best supports in NA. I'm a big fan of what he brings to the table, and I hope he's certainly gonna stick around. I think it would be a tragedy if he wasn't part of it. But I mean, I'm kind of like you. I think at this point, Doublelift hasn't really shown me anything. Like he hasn't seemed to have evolved very much, and in this kind of current meta, the last thing I would want is CLG to be so reliant on this one guy over and over again. You know, they nearly came a cropper because of it in the relegation. They reverted back to type in the absence of Monty's coaching, it seemed. And they just basically sort of relied on, let's feed double lift and hope he carries the game. I think that's a real dangerous attitude to have. And I'm hoping that when this new roster gets settled, they're actually going to have carries in other positions, take a bit of pressure off double lift, but maybe actually show them that they don't need to play the game one way fucking all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, that's definitely true. And I think that relieving the pressure off him would be really good. Because if you like think of like a sports star, for example, like maybe like Kobe Bryant or something. If Kobe Bryant's like age 40 and still playing for the Lakers, I mean, obviously he's going to start falling off because he's going to be, you know, the star and there's new talent coming in and all that. So I think it'd be good for him to reset, you know, kind of get that pressure off. Should I talk about like my predictions for?
Holy shit! Yeah, that's what you're here for, brother.
All right.
I want to even get you back just a little bit and talk about Link. Like, do you think that? Okay, so there's two questions here before we even go on to your predictions, because I'm super interested in your opinion. And the two questions are this. First of all, do you think Link is ever would ever have made it as a kind of mid carry, like somebody that could play in the very upper echelons of League of Legends?
I mean, if he closed the Hearthstone client a couple of times, I think he definitely could have been a top tier mid laner. But I feel he didn't have the strive for it, and you know, he always like, oh yeah, I'm on CLG, I'm probably never gonna lose. And then Scaro's vlog, he's like, yeah, well, Ling is really motivated and all that to play. And I mean, of course, that seems like bullshit to me now because I mean, I've heard that line so many times, like, oh yeah, hype for Link, he's gonna be so good. But I mean, if his job is really on the line, I think there's potential, and I mean, you know, CLG keyword right there. But I think there is potential that he could one day at least become a top tier mid. But in the state that CLG is currently, like let's say they didn't replace Link, I don't think he would ever have really made it high up. I always think he would have been mid tier or even lower, because because of mindset and all that.
So the next question would be, should CLG have realistically given him a shot in the jungle?
So there was that little period in last year's spring split, I think, where Link played jungle while Dexter was still dealing with his visa and all that. And I don't remember quite well. I do remember it was decent, but I think new positions are a little bit refreshing. But it's not. I don't think he would have performed as well in the jungle because I don't know. I just don't feel like he would have performed as well because when Nien moved to top lane, there's those kind of people. Someone has talked about this before, but there's those kind of people like, yeah, they need to be back on their original position. And like I always have felt too that Nien like always belonged at ADC, and now that he's back there, he's doing well. So I don't really feel that a transition would have been good for him because right now the jungle meta isn't really that entertaining, I guess you could say.
Yep.
And I don't feel it would have been much better for him to be mid, especially if he's already been having like motivation issues and all that sort. But yeah, I feel it would have been better just to liquidate the mid and jungle, which I'm almost certain they're going to be doing. Like entirely.
Last question before you give your predictions, and that is, do you think CLG have given Link a fair crack of the whip, or do you think they've even been, you know, too fair, like overly fair? You know, he's had like I think 3 splits to get his shit together, and it hasn't quite worked out like that. So, do you think CLG have been almost like showing favoritism towards him?
Yeah, I really do think that he's just been. It's because of those old CLG Black days. Like they made a whole team for him, and it's just kind of like, yeah, we never get rid of Link, all this stuff. Yeah, he's got so much hype. I think they've been over fair to him, and I think he really did need this like kick in the butt earlier. Like maybe spring split or the summer split, like, hey, you could potentially lose your job. Because I don't know how motivated he is. I mean, I have to take the word from Scar that he's motivated to try to get back onto the roster and start position.
What else is Scar going to say? He's just been appointed coach of the team. He ain't going to say, hey, guys, I just got here, and this dude don't give a fuck. He's not going to say that, is he? You know?
Definitely. I mean, obviously, if he is, I'm not gonna doubt that he's not motivated to retry to get that starting position again. But if he is, then I mean, I guess there's maybe a chance, but I highly doubt it. I think they've been way too fair for him, and I think this is really a step in the right direction if they want to be top one and stop disappointing people and, you know, Doublelift finally gets to go to Worlds.
So this is the fun part, predictions.
Okay.
Who do you think's going to come in? I mean, like, if you say Zion Spartan, it's going to be like the lamest prediction of all time, because I mean that's going to happen, right? So let's talk about the interesting areas.
All right. So obviously mid and jungle. I've been hearing a lot of weird things. So Dexter on Twitter yesterday was talking about how he's back in LA and he's like talking about how he wants to like go to Chipotle and all this stuff. And I remember that Link was the problem with him when he was on CLG. Now this is complete speculation, and you know it's really probably bullcrap speculation, but I think there's a slight chance that like somewhere that he would come back and to play jungle. That I do feel he was a problem, but I feel like that he would. There's a chance he would come back to the team if Link happened to not be on the roster. And I felt it was more of like when Skara wasn't, because I'm pretty sure Skara decided to make the decision, like along with Hotshot GG, he influenced like Link being stepping down. And I felt that it was either one of those two would have to go for the team to be successful. So I think that's a chance for him in jungle. Other than that, the Pobelter thing is really interesting because obviously he hasn't renewed his contract at all. And then again, that also adds a speculation of Helios or somebody like that. I don't know. I think the one that I'm really most hyped about is CLG Yusui because he's the mid laner for Curse, or I think it's Lol Pro or Curse. Yeah, Lol Pro, I think it is. And I think that'd be really interesting. But I don't know. For the most part, I do believe it's probably gonna be Pobelter or Helios, and maybe some challenger jungler, because that's what they said they were looking for, and they weren't really looking overseas.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, dude. I mean, there's a lot of talk, and again, it's just mad rumor bullshit. I don't buy it for a second, but there was actually talk of Spirit in CLG at one point.
That'd be actually really interesting, but I feel that most of the Koreans right now are all on the China hype train. Like, yeah, let's all go to China, more pay, all that stuff. But if I recall correctly, one of the CLG staff said, or it was Hotshot GG, I think, said that he wasn't really interested more in Korean imports because it takes more work. And especially because the rumors pretty much of Seraph speculating going to mid and everything will be okay is like gone. I really feel that they're no longer looking for Koreans, and they felt like, I guess they're using Seraph kind of as a scapegoat because when Monty left, he was pretty much one of the only people that really wanted Seraph there, and especially Kelby too. And with the recent vlog that Sarah made, he was talking about how they're looking particularly for NA Challenger players, and he's hinted a little bit at foreigners. I mean, obviously he's not going to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to import 2 random foreigners, but I don't know. I feel like for the most part, it's either going to be someone from EU or NA, because I really don't feel that they're going to pick up any more Koreans after the quote-unquote Seraph disaster.
So, different question to end on then. If you could, you know, be damned with any of the rules and blah, 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 the only rule we will say is that the foreigner rule has to stay in place. How would you rebuild CLG in your image, and what's the CLG you'd like to see going into next season?
Okay. Well, then that'd be really, really interesting. But if for the 3/5 rule, I would definitely say the bot lane, I would keep them. And then, obviously, are you talking about the 3/5 foreign rule, or are you talking about...
I'm saying, like, you've got to retain, you know, well, just the riot rules that you couldn't ignore if CLG wanted to compete in LCS. But you can change the roster around within those parameters.
Okay. So I would definitely put Pobelter at mid, because, I don't know, I feel like that he's someone that actually has potential, who can actually, has shown that he has potential. He just needs to be in the right atmosphere. Definitely top lane, Zion Spartan. And, I don't know, I'm a little bit confused as to, who would jungle in that team, because I'm not really too, familiar with many of the jungle free agents right now. But I would say that, my speculatory prediction is that after the NA, expansion tournament, someone from one of those teams that doesn't qualify, I feel like one of those people will become jungle. But I don't know. I can't really think of a jungler right now.
Oh well, you know.
I'll say Dexter. We'll throw in the random rumor there.
Dexter back to CLG.
Dexter back.
Good one. But you know what? It's good to hear a fan that rated Dexter. I hope he watches this and actually realizes the fans did rate and respect his work, because I know come the end of his tenure with CLG, he felt a little bit depressed about it. Anyway, look, Max, you've been the last call on the show. It was great to get you on board. Wonderful to hear your opinions. And, you know, I'll let you in on a little secret here, Max, just because, you know, I don't want us to, you know, part on bad terms. When CLG were in that relegation battle, I was kind of rooting for Curse Academy.
Oh, you know, I can't say I wasn't either, because I had this theory that since Curse Academy needed a new organization, they beat CLG and then CLG buys the Curse Academy roster. Some deal. There you go.
Yeah, it would have been awesome. Would have been good to see Saint back in LCS and back in CLG indeed. But look, dude, it was great to talk to you. Thanks for calling in. Hope you call in again sometime. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of your week.
To you, Richard. Thank you.
Peace out, Max. So there we go, Sam. We've another show down, brother.
Yep, it was a good one.
Yeah, actually, this was a good one, wasn't it? Trash talk. You know, we had some cheap clickbait drama bullshit at the start. We had some funny bits. I blacked out for a little bit. I think I started ranting about that journalist dude.
Yeah, I think he said something about Travis as well. They must have heard us through.
Oh God, yeah. I'm definitely trying to block that out. Like, you know, I know Travis is gonna message me on Skype like, dude, what the fuck? Thought we buried action. I'm like, it's my producer. I'm not feeding him his lines. He's an organic human being. And
I
he
have a
said
script right in front of me.
Shut up. But you know what? I just got another message from my agent right there at the end of the show, and he said that Goldberg is willing to split half of his Kickstarter with me if I publicly endorse it. So I just want to say that you know, how great it is to have a writer who's, you know, never been interested in League of Legends before offer for the small price of $108,000 to do a thorough job reporting on it, actually.
Yeah, and he just offered me a quota for production, so I'll be there for the dinner. So if you want to donate the $5,000, we can go play some games at his house.
Also, I just want to say to all the people who've been in the chat tonight, all you have to do is you know, fucking pay me $200 and we can spend half an hour on Skype together as well, like I do every week with people who want to talk about esports, you know. But I'm going to start charging for it because I'm worth it, because, you know, I work for a pretty big website and I'm pretty awesome. So, you know, I think we've learned a lot this show. Also, Odie, Jesus fucking Christ. Right. For you, Michael, for our many years of being colleagues and associates in our up and down relationship, Odie is super happy because Dave Mustaine, former Metallica guitarist, the guy who went on to form the rock band Megadeth, actually tweeted at him and said, you know, yeah, we'll hang out or whatever it is that they do. Please come to a show. And then Dave Mustaine started a Kickstarter saying $250,000 and I'll spend time with Odie. So that's how it happened, and that's all true. Anyway, I think we'll kill the show there. There you go, Odie. There you are. Right now, next Dignitas story, you better leak it to me directly, motherfucker. So there we go. Sam, you've done great work tonight. I feel like you're coming into your own as an esports personality.
Yeah, I can feel the toxicity inside of me brewing. I'm channeling my inner EU West.
Yeah, I think you're doing. I think pretty soon I'm gonna come in to do trash talk one day. And it's just going to be, instead of Richard Lewis Reports as the name of the Twitch channel, it's just going to be, you know, Sam Bainlaw Swears or something. And I'm going to be done. Like, that's it. My career will be over. So, there you go. Anyway, you know, you're doing really well for yourself, man. Didn't I say? Stick with me and I'll make you a star. But anyway, great show tonight. Thanks a lot for your hard work. Thanks to all the people who tuned in and listened. The VODs are going to be up super, super quick. I want to thank all the celebrities that came onto the show and completely subverted it and made it something that it shouldn't be about. Thanks to all the listeners. We'll be back the same time next week. And yes, you people, you dumb people, tomorrow, First Blood, 10 o'clock, same as always. It's happening. That's 10 o'clock UK time, 11 o'clock European time. We'll be there. You may have got a hint about the guest earlier. If you haven't, if you missed that when Brokenshard was on, all I'm going to say is it's going to be a very complex guest, someone who probably is going to confirm that he'll come on. Really looking forward to doing it. Peace out. Let's run the titles.